Man, the Senate race in Maine is getting absolutely insane because you got this primary coming up. The corporate Democrat says she's dropping out, but she's still in. Graham Plattner is the favorite to win the Democrat primary. But not only is he getting attacked by the right, the Democrat machine, the corporate press, even The View are now going after him. And the funny thing about it is not because he's a Nazi. He got a big Nazi tattoo on his chest, right? He got it covered up. So I can at least give somebody respect by saying, well, they can change their mind, right? The only thing I think about the guy is that, he had it for 20 years and it wasn't an accident. Only when he got caught with it while already running for office did he decide to cover it up. Now, here's the funny thing. That did not sink him. Democrats were told that this guy is a history buff with a Totenkopf on his chest, and they were like, that's totally fine. Then they find out he was sexting with women. Oh, that's a bridge too far, apparently. Now there's this screenshot going around from the Wall Street Journal where apparently he was referring to his, as mein Führer, and asking women if he could have permission to blitzkrieg that ass. Okay, I would be remiss if I did not say that's a fake screenshot that's going around, but there's a political element to this, and the story is going to go viral. People are going to believe it anyway. And the citation is, they did the same thing to J.D. Vance. We are now in the post-truth era where it's just defame and destroy your enemy. They do it to Trump. They did it to Vance. Turnabout's fair play, they say. So here's the story about Graham Plattner. Now Mills, the other Democrat, saying, just want to remind everybody, I'm still actually in the race because they may force Plattner out. This is just getting wild. Now, I must admit, midterms are the lesser of the election. People don't really care all that much about the midterms. And midterm primaries are the bottom of the barrel. But we here talk about politics on Timcast IRL, so we will cover it. There's more news, too. A volcanic eruption last week. A meteor strike right near the volcano, followed by a strange UFO flying up from where the meteor had landed. And we're hearing from experts that it certainly must have been just a satellite passing over the erupting volcano after a meteor struck. I gotta tell you, them are some crazy odds to happen all at once. Now, people are saying aliens. I don't know, But with all the alien disclosure talk, the story is particularly interesting. So we'll talk about that. And then, of course, tomorrow we get the big race in L.A. with Spencer Pratt. And people are saying he's likely to advance to the runoff. We call this a jungle primary. He might actually make it. Now, does he beat Karen Bass? We don't know for sure. But the dude's doing very well. We're going to talk about all of that and more. Colbert was canceled. How about that? Before we do, we got a great sponsor for you. It is Backyard Butchers. Check out backyardbutchers.com. My friends, use promo code POOL for up to 30% off 2 free 10-ounce ribeyes. Here's what got my attention, my friend. Secretary of Agriculture publicly warned that America's consolidated meat supply is a threat to the country itself. Think about that. Just 4 companies control the majority of America's beef supply, and the largest is foreign-owned. Here's what most people don't realize. A single pound of conventional grocery store ground beef can contain DNA from hundreds of different cattle. This is the most disgusting thing I've heard in a long time. Basically, when you buy ground beef, they're like throwing all the cows into a meat grinder and mixing them all up, and you're just getting just this. It's gross. It is. I also learned, this is actually crazy, that a lot of it is cloned meat. That's creepy, man. Well, what's the solution? A return to tradition. Know your rancher. Know where your meat's coming from. Check out Backyard Butchers. They are the American tradition. You got 98% grass-fed, 2% grain-finished, 0 hormones, 0 antibiotics, 0 preservatives. Go to backyardbutchers.com. Use promo code POOL. Get 30% off and 2 free 10-ounce ribeyes. This summer, Backyard Butchers is celebrating America's 250th anniversary with a free America 250 box when you purchase a steakhouse box complete with burgers and hot dogs built for my favorite holiday party, 4th of July. Don't forget, July is MAGA month, by the way. Again, backyardbutchers.com, promo code POOL. Check it out. Thanks for sponsoring the show, guys. But also, join us at timcast.com, where tens of thousands of people are consolidating, coming together to build community. Join our Discord community. Get involved. Don't just sit idly by as the world is happening. You want to start a project? You want to help someone with a project? You want to get involved in that network? We got one right here. We built it just for you guys. And when you become a member, not only do you make it possible to sustain this community, you support the work we do right here. And you know what? Some people have actually gotten married having met in the Discord because community is everything, man. If you're not hanging out with people, sharing ideas, and forming those bonds. What is your experience? Like sitting around playing video games and watching movies all day and reading the internet? It can't be enough. And we know it can't be enough. That's why we created the Discord community, because we know that all of y'all just sitting by yourselves watching the show isn't enough. We need to bring everyone together. And then it's up to you what comes next. So join us at timcast.com. Don't forget, my friends, to smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Joining us tonight to talk about this and everything else is Jesse Arm.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Who are you? What do you do?
My name is Jesse Arm. I'm a vice president at the Manhattan Institute. I'm also a pollster. My background is in data analytics, predictive modeling, and a lot of the kind of numbersy stuff that goes around with politics. And I do a lot of work on political coalitions and policy dynamics shaping our politics today.
Right on. Should be fun. Thanks for hanging out. Brett's hanging out.
What is going on, guys? Yes, if you don't know who I am, Brett, it's been, like a week? Pop Culture Crisis, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. You should join us there, but we're going to talk about politics, aren't we, Phil?
We got Carter. Well, that was going to be a surprise, but Carter's pressing the buttons.
No one saw that at all yet, but I'm pressing buttons, and we have our guy back.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me back. I appreciate it. I have been gone for a month because I was out yelling at a stick and enjoying the stage playing for all that remains. But it's good to be back. Let's get back into it.
Here's the news. We got this tweet. It's a screenshot from the Wall Street Journal that reads, in one message seen by the Wall Street Journal, Plattner refers to his penis as mein Führer and asks the woman if she would like for Plattner to blitzkrieg that ass. Now, this story, of course, has to do with this scandal that is rocking the Plattner campaign. And I have to stress this. The funniest thing about it is that dude can literally have a Nazi tattoo. I'm not being light when I say Nazi. Like, he literally had the Totenkampf, the Nazi SS skull and crossbones on his chest. That's not an accident. He got it in Croatia, where Nazi imagery is illegal to be displayed. This was not an accident to have on his chest for 20 years. People have said he was a history buff. And so, when that was uncovered, Democrats didn't care. You know, he did not sink in the polls. He actually skyrocketed in the polls. And I've been saying people need to listen. There are, we had this debate on the show a couple weeks ago. I'm not saying every Democrat is are the real racists or the real Nazis. I'm saying there are white supremacists who vote for Democrats for one of two reasons or an overlap: accelerationism and identitarianism. They may understand that Democrats don't like white people, but they still push for laws that would allow racial segregation. And many of these people will take it. So when you get a Democrat with a literal Nazi tattoo for 2 decades, makes you question it. But here's the best part. Only now that he's being accused of being a sex pest are they actually threatening his campaign. And Mills, the other Democrat, who is the corporate Dem who was running in the primary, is now reminding everybody that she's still running. Now, I do have to stress this. This screenshot is fake. I do not believe he actually called his penis mein Führer and asked a woman if she would like for him to blitzkrieg that ass.
Doesn't seem realistic if he didn't say the second part in German, too.
I want to believe, though.
Yeah.
You said...
No, because that makes him sound cool.
Yeah, you said people are saying that he was a World War II history buff or whatever. There was this guy that used to play in a band called Slayer. His name was Jeff Hanneman, and he was a World War II history buff. He had all kinds of paraphernalia and stuff. He didn't have a Totenkopf tattoo, right? Like he didn't go that extra step to really drive it home. I mean, I'm not sure exactly where Plattner's head was at when he got it, but 20 years. Yeah, 20 years is a long time.
He's got a long record.
Decide not it.
He's got a long record of being just a basically bottom of the barrel scum human. I mean, you can run down the list with this guy, Plattner. Yeah, he is somebody who talked about seeing guys get killed. Purple Heart recipient soldiers fighting the Taliban in Afghanistan get killed, and his comment was that they deserve to die.
It was the Reddit stuff, right?
He's got a treasure trove of psychotic stuff that this guy was posting on Reddit. I mean, for putting the racism, the misogynist stuff, the various different kinds of psychotic bigotry aside from the Reddit account, he was also talking about masturbating in public porta potties every time he sees a porta potty and he smells that blue liquid that fills those porta potties. He gets the urge to masturbate. He's a grade A sicko.
I hate to, it's true. Here's the story. This is from ABC4. Plattner joked about porta potty masturbation and penile graffiti. It's funny because they're like, he's joking when he says he's into these things. And I'm like, or he's not. I don't know.
But it's exactly what you said, right? It's like, so you read this thing from the Nazi tattoo, Reddit-brained, far left. He's also obviously said he was a communist, said he was a socialist. Now he says he's a socialist. Back in the day on Reddit, he was
national
talking about
socialist.
how he's a communist. Yeah, Nazi, communist, socialist. He's got all the bases covered. Yeah. And this is who the Democratic Party rallies behind in Maine to beat big, bad, scary Susan Collins, who is like pro-choice and the most centrist Republican in the entire Senate.
I didn't check the numbers prior to all of this going on, but did it look like he had a chance to beat Susan Collins?
Yeah, he's beating her in most of the
He's the favorite.
But the thing about Susan Collins is she tends to overperform expectations, and she's a survivor. And she's gotten knocked out in a couple of elections now. The polling has suggested that Susan Collins is going to lose leading into Election Day. 6 years ago, that's what the polling said. And then she came back and won.
Just real quick, I pulled up Kalshi, right? Maine Senate winner, Democratic Party, Republican Party. And you can see here that the Nazi scandal had little to no impact on Plattner at all. He is just considered the favorite to win. It wasn't until now he's dropping rapidly. They're like, whoa, 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 he's a Nazi? That's fine. Wait,
Why do
he
you
texted inappropriate things to women? He's gone.
Why do you think it is, since you are a pollster, why do you think it is that she overperforms and then, like, obviously has, like you said, like she gets a lot of stories where it looks like she's doing bad, but then she ends up doing better? Why do you think that is?
I think there are weird idiosyncratic reasons, like Maine is a really hard state to poll with a lot of cross-partisan voters, meaning voters who may be registered as a Democrat or consistently vote for Democrats in presidential election but are independent-minded. You ever see that meme of the guy wearing the shirt? I think it might be in like Vermont, but there's a spiritually similar voter in Maine, and the shirt says, "I love my AR-15 and my trans son." Like, there's a lot of weirdos like that who just have kind of politics all over the map, hard to pin down ideologically, especially in the Northeast, in those backwoods of Maine. But I think that's partially why Susan Collins is such a survivor there. She's actually kind of a centrist. She's willing to buck her party. She's not the way we conceive of like a political outsider, right? Someone who doesn't fit into a camp neatly. Oh, that's got to be someone who's super duper populist or super duper like Maha or granola crunchy. And actually sometimes it can be Susan Collins, who's just kind of a pro-business, milquetoast moderate Republican who doesn't get too animated over cultural issues.
But I think that's why they go for a Plattner. If Susan Collins is attacking the middle of the road, then what are Democrats offering?
So that's why so many people, and basically that's why I think the Nazi scandal didn't break early, because there were a lot of people in the Democratic consultant class who convinced themselves that we need someone who doesn't fit the natural paradigm either. We need Graham Plattner because he goes on a white supremacist Nazi guy's podcast. This is another story. If you look it up, you'll find, and says, "Hey, really excited to be here. I'm a longtime listener and fan of it." Because that's what Democrats think. This was the discourse after 2024, too, when Trump won, right? And the Democrats were this broken party. And they were all talking about, we need the liberal Joe Rogan. We're not going to be able to move forward if we don't have the liberal Joe Rogan. And who did they convince themselves was the liberal Joe Rogan? Hassan Piker, who is like a third worldist, like simp for Islamists.
Who doesn't do interviews.
He's obsessed with a lot of my colleagues at the Manhattan Institute. He's put us on blast a couple of times.
He doesn't connect with regular people. He doesn't talk about regular people issues. He's hyper esoteric. That's the best they can do. Well, now he's banned from the UK.
I mean, is Plattner's appeal to the Democrats the fact that he's like a white guy, and they're like, well, maybe we can go ahead and kind of reach the quote unquote normal Democrat with him?
That strikes at something very accurate. And this is hilarious. Something else that happened a few weeks ago was that a Democratic consultant at a political consulting firm based in New York, I think Slingshot Strategies, reaches out to Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports and tries to get him to participate in some kind of podcast crossover video content distribution event with Graham Plattner, because Graham Plattner is going to be talking about the owner of the Boston Red Sox and how he's a grubby, I don't know, private equity guy or whatever. There's some critique with him. And like, This is how Democrats think. They just assume, oh, we have a gruff white guy running for Senate in Maine. Dave Portnoy is a gruff white guy. Let's reach out to Dave Portnoy and see if he'll talk. It's like, no, dude, Dave Portnoy is Jewish, doesn't hate Israel, and also like a pro-business moderate Republican. He's not going to be positively inclined to doing a powwow, wonderful, friendly chat with Nazi tattoo psycho Reddit brain guy you're running for Senate in Maine. It's not going to happen.
Was the idea supposed to be that it wasn't going to be adversarial? Like he wasn't going to be pushing back on him in some way? It was supposed to just solely be about the Boston Red Sox and stuff?
Yeah, that they would bro out over the Boston Red Sox and how bad the owner is.
That seems unlikely.
I think their logic was Dave Portnoy doesn't like the owner of the Boston Red Sox.
But yeah, I mean, but
they don't even stop to think, oh, this is exactly the kind of candidate Dave Portnoy would despise.
Yeah, I mean,
because he's a white guy.
Do you think that
Tim Walz is a football coach? We can just trot him out there, and a bunch of dumb white jocks will vote for the Democrats. Because
do you think that it's just a lack of understanding what it is that the general conservative, or maybe even the non-woke people are looking for? Because if you look at Plattner and the things that he said in the past, never mind the scandalous stuff, but like the statements that he makes, he's just as woke as Ilhan Omar or AOC. There's no significant light between any of those people. So it's like, is it all just identity with them, where they're just like, well, it's a white guy and we can go ahead and put this face out there, but the policies are going to be the kind of policies that the Democrats have been pushing and failing on for the past decade.
Yeah, they would never countenance a Susan Collins, right? Someone who's actually a little bit of a moderate on policy. The Republicans are. Donald Trump, it's pretty clear that Susan Collins is not his favorite U.S. senator, but he is willing to tolerate some amount of ideological diversity within the conservative coalition, especially if that's going to get you a candidate elected. The Democrats are not. That's why Graham Plattner is out there, and in practice, he's not more moderate on like economic issues than the median Democrat in Congress. He's the exact same.
He tends to align more with the further left wing of the Democrats.
Actually, you're right. I'm sorry. He's a little bit further to the left.
Yeah. I mean,
because that's the only thing they can come up with. Look at this guy Tallarico, James Tallarico, running for Senate in Texas too. I don't want to take us too far off topic to another race, but here's another guy who they said, oh, he talks about God. He talks about the Bible. He's a preacher of some kind. He's a pastor of some kind.
Unitarian.
Do you know what gaydar is?
Your gaydar is going wild for
I don't have a gaydar. But the empty slot where one would have been is on fire when I see that man speak. You know, I'm not somebody. I mean, to be fair, the joke is that
Miller called him the first transgender candidate.
Well, yeah, he's just insulting him. But there's a scientific study about gay face, and they showed random people pictures of men who are straight or gay, and people can to 70% accuracy tell you if someone is gay based on their face.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, ask any honest person. They see Tallarico and they're like, oh, he's gay.
But this is the thing. As you said, Phil, it's like Tallarico was assumed by Democrats to be the kind of candidate who would break through in Texas because he sprinkles in God and Jesus in here and there. What's he saying about God and Jesus? Oh, God is non-binary. Yeah, science tells us there are 6 biological sexes.
And abortion's allowed.
Heresy.
Abortion's in the Bible.
And homosexuality is allowed in the Bible.
Mary wasn't really a virgin.
And Mary was given the choice to abort Jesus.
Call the Space Marines. He's a heretic.
Space Marines.
It's like they just read the basic characteristics of them and then didn't get any farther into the Oppo research.
I'd like to talk about the state of the Democratic Party with this video we have from Breitbart. Woke overload. Democrat lawmakers Yasemin Ansari, Adelita Grijalva, and Rashida Tlaib recently had the press conference on how much their periods hurt and how it is economic violence when their employers don't pay women to stay home and work when they're menstruating. Here we go.
I love it.
Today we are here to talk about women's pain and how long it's been overlooked. In the summer of 2015, while starting my career in New York City, I woke up on the floor of my local bodega, drenched in sweat, being dragged into an ambulance. 2 male paramedics hovered over me and continued to ask me if I was pregnant. I had passed out from period pain. Even now, every month, I have days where it feels like barbed wire is tightening inside me. I've taken 2,000 milligrams of ibuprofen in 24 hours and still been in tears from the pain. Often end up on the bathroom floor in the fetal position, crying, moaning, or vomiting. Still, I've put on a blazer and gone to work. I've sat in committee hearings, nauseous from the pain, quietly breathing to make my way through it.
She will
I've
overcome.
given speeches at rallies and run town halls while my body was in full revolt. I smiled for photos while silently wondering if I might faint right then and there.
Now imagine if she just ended the speech by saying, and that's why I'm resigning from Congress and will continue to advocate that no woman hold any job in public policy ever again. Then I'd be like, nah, the speech makes sense.
She's like, I can't do it anymore. It's just too much.
Bro, what is this? Like, why? I don't want to hear about Rashida Tlaib's period pain, and I don't understand what Congress is supposed to do about your period pain.
We need
I think it's like government has an answer for period pain.
It's just women emoting.
What is the government solution to period pain?
They're gonna outlaw it. They're
Rashida
gonna be like they're gonna pass a.
give you one.
We
They're
need
gonna pass a
like
resolution.
Alex Stein to do a press conference where he's like, the other night I went to Taco Bell and then I woke up on my bathroom floor at 3 a.m. and it felt like barbed wire was grinding away from my insides.
He has to advocate for men with a cold. Because that's the one that...
with a cold?
Haven't you ever seen, like, women always talk about how men complain when they get a cold. There's like how you could never handle having a period. You've never understood what it's like to be a man with a head cold.
All of these women should be embarrassed to be up there. Like you're literally up there complaining about your biology.
Did you guys ever see the story where it was this female scientist working in Antarctica? And she wrote this op-ed about how it was sexist that they didn't build outhouses at various points throughout Antarctica, because when they would go out on like a research mission, the guys, if they had to go to the bathroom, they just let it rip. But the women, they can't just do that. It's too cold. And so apparently, like, her supervisor said to buy a funnel, and they were like, then you can sort of stand and do your thing. And she said that it was too embarrassing and it was difficult. And when she tried, she pissed all over herself. And it's just like, it's just crazy.
Maybe stay home.
The world is sexist. No. I accept it. The world, human existence is sexist because women can't pee wherever they want and their hoo-hoos hurt once a month. Blame God. Blame God. But you can't blame men for this.
They will. They will. They're going to.
I was reading an article earlier about Curry Barker and Kane Parsons, who have the two biggest movies in the world right now with Obsession and Backrooms. And I was reading this article about how the YouTuber to Hollywood pipeline is actually sexist because to be successful on YouTube, and this was their example, they gave the Mr. Beast example where they work long hours that you're not rewarded initially because you won't make money initially. You got to put a bunch of unpaid labor into it, and women can't do that because they take up all the emotional labor at home, and they do the majority of the household duties. I said, Mr. Beast was not married when he was becoming famous. All he did was work all day, every day, because that was his prerogative, and they were still framing it as if YouTube wasn't a democratized platform because it rewards things that men prefer, like working longer hours.
Yep. On the contrary, I think John Doyle had a post about this earlier.
Doyle's
I think we're
great.
Starting to see a little bit more. Like, this was the biggest weekend for AMC since what, Brett? 2019,
It's been
right?
a long time, yeah.
Like,
I mean,
people are going back to the movies again.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And I think part of the reason that might be happening is because it's like they're letting the young white dudes cook a little bit, DEI is, I don't know that it's out the window in Hollywood. There's definitely some of it, but like, they're letting the young white dudes cook, and now we're getting to see great film again.
Yes, I would say nature is healing, right? Backrooms was a resounding success and Obsession, but Supergirl is tracking to bomb.
So is He-Man.
Well,
Is it really?
But
He-Man is still a...
Millie Alcock is ragging on dudes and calling her movie girl power, and she's like, remember 2022? And everyone's like, please no. And she's like, let's do that again. And they're like, stop. I want to just say that maybe they're letting the white dudes cook a little bit and things are coming back. But guys, it's June 1st. All the major league sports are putting up rainbow flags.
Man.
Okay. So I want to say, that we routed woke for a while, but it's rearing its ugly head once again. Maybe they'll all learn their lesson with Backrooms and be like, just make interesting, fun things. But here's the thing. For us on a show like this, I think the real issue is not that woke necessarily was completely defeated. I do think that with Bud Light and Target, we crushed woke. It's just that politics has waned dramatically for the obvious reason. The election ended.
Yeah.
Trump had his first 100 days. Then people started to get bored. Now we're halfway through 2026 already. And I think for politics, people just don't care right now. Nothing's happening right now politically that they can do anything about. Primaries are very hyper esoteric. So people are like, they're getting back to what matters. Hanging out with the boys, going and seeing a fun movie on the weekends. We used to do these things, remember? And then politics became pop culture. And everybody was just suffering under it. Well, I think we're going to go back to that. I think we're in the eye of the storm. That is, it is passing overhead. We are in the off season, but the midterm races are coming up. This is going to be apocalyptic. If Democrats win, it'll go nuts. You're going to see subpoenas, arrests. We're going to get freaky. But if Trump wins, Trump going to get freaky.
Yeah.
And then we are going to see ignition into 2027 with primaries. And then, of course, 2028 with God knows who is going to run. Yeah. Maybe Trump just like straps some stem cell IVs to his body and says, I'm going to live forever. And then we get Trump's 8th term, 2089.
Another 40K emperor, or another 40K reference with the God Emperor Trump just sitting on the golden throne.
Indeed.
That is a very incisive observation, though. And it reminds me a little bit, we were talking about the Tallarico stuff. And I think you said he's just insulting him with respect to Stephen Miller saying that Tallarico looks transgender or whatever, which is exactly right. It's not a very nice thing to say. But what happened in response to that? The National Democratic Party's Twitter account responds to Stephen Miller. Can I swear? I forget what you said.
Well, we try not to.
Try not to
Just
swear.
say F.
Okay. I'm only quoting the National Democratic Party's Twitter account, of course, but responds to Stephen Miller and says, "Shut up, you ugly F word." Okay? And it's like,
I thought it was like ugly AB.
I think it was a F word, but open to being fact checked in any way.
Oh, you're right. You're correct.
Okay.
Shut up, you ugly F.
What do we learn from that? I think Tallarico is actually kind of noticing right now, like, oh crap, I said a lot of crazy stuff at peak woke right around 2020. And now, like, the Republicans nominated the less moderate option. Trump endorsed him. Like, he's got his own scandals. I maybe have a shot at being the first senator elected from Texas as a Democrat since 1988, I think it is. So
he's not going to win.
I got to move, but he's at least trying to move off of some of the crazy stuff he said. And the Democrats won't let him because the Democrats are too busy going at Stephen Miller's throat.
This tweet, I think, is the perfect example. It is indicative of a civil war. And what I mean by that is the Democratic Party is broke. They're $3 million in debt, and nobody's donating to them. They've dropped all pretense. Shut up, you ugly F. They don't care anymore.
They're not trying.
Republicans are donating to the political Republican machine. Standing up wearing suits and ties saying, we should vote and support our candidates. And Democrats are saying, fund extremists and terrorists and burn it all down. We are looking at prominent Democrat donors no longer giving money to the Democratic Party. They're giving money to far-left extremists and activist organizations.
Yeah.
If this trend continues, where do you think it goes? Democrats are trying to win power through external force. Republicans are trying to win power through institutional force. That's going to end with one conflict.
And it's why when Republicans have institutional power, they need to be unafraid of exercising it.
Well, they're terrified to use it.
Look,
they're terrified.
This crap is going around all over the country right now. Every time I see a protest where, whether it's the Gaza people or the climate people or the LGBTQIA alphabet people, and they're blocking a road or they're harassing people sitting at an outdoor restaurant, I just want to scream because I'm like, that's illegal. We can do something about that.
Do you think that because we talked about how Republicans aren't really exercising the power that they've been given by being elected. Do you think that the primaries so far have kind of shown to the Republicans, hey, look, you need to do the will of the voters? Because I know that I think it was Paxton won the primary in Texas, right?
Yeah, he had that. And I know what you're going to say.
And the point that I'm making is just there were people that were incumbents that were not what you would consider MAGA people, that were not really interested in doing the will of the voter. Do you think that that's going to change?
Well, look, the perfect example of that is Thomas Massey, right? You don't get elected to vote no on everything all the time. And then you say, I stuck to my principles, but also I voted against like Trump's tax cut. I voted against border funding. Like, and you can, and I understand like the sympathetic view to the libertarian position. But at the same time, if you're not a wheeler and dealer, you're not somebody who's cutting deals in Washington, you're going to get burned.
Well, the issue is that there's a war going on. And in whatever respect war would mean, there's a psychological war, there is a cultural war. And for many people who are Trump supporters, their attitude is, it may violate your principles, but we are fighting an existential crisis. The libertarians have always been in a wacky position. Like even right now, the libertarians are claiming Massey could win 2028. I'm going to say this clearly to the camera. There is no reality where Thomas Massey wins a presidential race in 2028. You can bet on it. You can say whatever you want. But like,
couldn't win a Republican primary in his own district
where he's like,
where he has like 100% name ID. I mean,
right.
If you can't win there, you're not winning a presidential primary.
But here's the thing. If y'all want to scream AIPAC and Israel, you're allowed to do that. You think he's going to go up against the national machine and win? When he's up against, in your mind, you think Israel's wants to stop him there? You think they're going to get anywhere near the presidency? Yeah. If you think Israel killed Charlie Kirk, you think Thomas Massey can win a presidential primary and run as a Republican nominee?
It doesn't
not happening.
It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand how someone could say that a 7-term incumbent that lost his congressional seat is then going to go on and win the presidency.
It's also stupid. It's like ridiculous. AIPAC is a collection of Americans who have a lot of independent wealth, who think that there's advantages to the United States by having a positive working relationship with, you know, Jewish Wakanda hanging out in the Middle East. That makes a lot of super weapons. It's like, okay. And by the way, that's not Israel spending their money in our elections to meddle. It's a lot of Americans who have that view. And you can be unhappy with it, but if they're wealthy and they're going to spend a lot of money in politics.
And I do want to point out one thing, like there's a lot of us sitting here that have been very, very friendly towards Thomas Massey and a really, really good opinion of Thomas Massey. I still do. I still think that he was like, I liked him a lot.
I liked his jet clock pin.
Yeah. That was great. And
to
be honest,
capacitor, he's a chicken guy, you know?
I mean, what did that do again?
So it was a chicken coop that was on a solar powered motorized cable system that would slowly move. So the chickens were always over fresh grass.
Oh, that's so
and he said that you can see the trail behind the coop is all lush green grass from the chicken poop. Mm-hmm. Wow, it's amazing. And he built it from scratch. His house out the grid. He's a genius. I think Thomas Massey is very principled. He's a smart guy. He's a good and honorable man.
Out of politics.
Exactly. Politics is not a place for a good and honorable man.
Be an inventor.
And
be a farmer.
But that's why I'm a fan of him. I wish everybody in Congress was like Thomas Massey. The problem is Democrats are not. The Republicans are reluctant in all of their use of power. I have disagreed with Massey on a bunch of these issues when he votes against Trump's plans. And I'll say it outright. I understand that the policy position pushed by Trump is going to result in deficit spending. We're already in a bad position. But Democrats are trying to give kids sex changes, open our borders. So we're dealing with an existential crisis on all fronts. Now is not the time to stand up and just be like, I will stand here on this hallowed ground of my principles, even as I am washed aflame and burned to death.
The other thing, Tim, about Massey is that the only time he could ever wheel and deal or operate with folks on the other side of the aisle, it wasn't to sneak in amendments that were going to be helpful for his home district in like big omnibus spending bills. It was like, let me go shitpost with Ro Khanna and like get a random guy who appeared in a lineup with some other people in the Epstein files and expose this dude who's a dentist and dox him for the whole world. Like, this is not stuff that's particularly constructive. That's what his voters felt like. I
agree. I will, the young people of it, I will applaud Ro Khanna and Massey for fighting on the Epstein issue and wanting to get those documents released. Flat and of its own principled position, I would like to see the Epstein files released. We want to get to the bottom of this. That being said, come on, man. These guys weren't fighting this stuff when Biden was in office, and they could have. Yeah. And it's just, I'm sorry. I'll call it bad timing. Trump gets in. Trump flubs the whole thing. Bongino flubs it. Pam Bondi, they all flub it. All of it was bad. The Binder Gate was bad. All of it's bad. I like the general idea. But once again, the bigger question is, do we want to stand on our principles while we're being fired upon by lunatics? Or do we say, guys, we have to win an existential crisis before, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on the people next to you. So I would just say Massey does well with young people, but now boomers, and boomers ain't going to be around forever. So I'll be curious to see where this actually goes.
It's also, young Republicans are a little bit of an oxymoronic demographic in and of itself. Most people become Republicans when they're older. People are you asked me a question about polling earlier. That's like an important thing to understand about polling. Anytime you see polling of young Republicans, you have to keep in mind that you're looking at a deeply eccentric group in and of itself.
But you've got it inverted. It's not that young people become Republicans. It's that Republicans adapt to young people. So if you look at the political positions held by Republicans today, Republicans 10 years ago would have been like, are you out of your mind? Donald Trump unfurled a pride flag at the RNC in 2016, and they applauded him for it. Go back 10 years. Never going to happen. As young people, as the political consultants see, we need to attract people who care about low taxes. And what was the big trend back, 2012? It was socially liberal and fiscally conservative.
Yeah, now it's kind of the opposite. Yeah.
Now it's...
But I don't know. I mean, it kind of depends on the issue, no? Like, Trump moved the party rightward on immigration. The party was much... Why not? Why? Why do you think
Because back in 2008, everyone was in agreement, left and right, Democrat, Republican, on building a border wall. Even Hillary Clinton said to build a border wall. Trump maintained the position.
Yeah.
To be fair, you did have prominent donors like the Koch brothers that were in favor.
Who were in the driver's seat of the GOP, and there's, amnesty was something that was more on the table, Gang of Eight. I mean, look at Marco Rubio was way more moderate on immigration all those years ago. So I do think... But ultimately,
the Democrats said build a border wall. Hillary Clinton said build a border wall.
Yes. Well, the Democrats were more to the right on immigration, absolutely. Yeah. But I think the Republicans were more to the left, and Trump pulled them to the right. But here's what I will say: you're right on net. Donald Trump, and this is so lost on most people who talk about politics and observe politics. Donald Trump is a massive moderating force on the Republican Party, and that is partially why he's helped them yield a lot of political success.
That's actually really interesting, too, considering you're saying that one of the things he did pull them rightward on was immigration, which is one of the biggest cruxes for the liberals, is that they have now come so far down the other side on that issue, is they're making it seem like everything Trump does is far right, when for the most part he's been moderate in most of his other stances.
We've also got people on our side that are a little bit disingenuous about Trump's position on immigration, right? Suggesting that, like, Trump is not a hardcore restrictionist. Every time Trump talks about immigration, he's like, I want the talented people. I want the smart people.
H-1B visas. And
this was, we do have some trouble within the family on this issue, right? Some internal disagreement. But Donald Trump's position on that is selectionist. We'll take the good people and leave the bad ones.
The problem is, though, is like, even if he does have a more open position on immigration, it doesn't actually matter, because ICE does so many hype reels and videos that end up giving them bad press that functionally it doesn't matter, because it makes them look uncaring.
Yeah,
so
hopefully that's...
Let's jump to the international news here from the BBC. Hassan Piker, Cenk Uygur have been denied entry to the UK by the Home Office. This is BBC reporting. 2 left-wing content creators have been blocked from entering the UK after they said the Home Office revoked their visas. Hassan Piker and Cenk Uygur were due to speak at South by Southwest London Festival and an event in Oxford. The pair have blasted the UK government, claiming they were banned for criticizing Israel. I just want to stress, no, they're banned because they're high-profile forces that could be disruptive. Many right-wing individuals were banned from entering recently as well. There were, I believe, 11 individuals associated with Tommy Robinson's Unite the Kingdom rally 2 weeks ago had their visas denied. I'll say a couple of things. Tommy invited me to come hang out. I don't remember the specifics. We had time in the show, and he was like, why don't you guys come to the rally? It'll be fantastic. And my wife and I were like, that sounds like a lot of fun to go to the UK. And then ultimately we decided not to pursue it. One of the reasons why is that we ended up getting invited. I got invited to debate at the Oxford Union. And I said, let's chill, because I'm pretty sure if I try to apply for an ETA to the UK, they're going to deny me. And the same thing is true for Oxford Union. So we kind of just trying to lay low here because I don't want to intentionally. Like if I try to get a visa for China, they just be like, "We'd like to inform you, you're banned forever. You can never come to the country." So I'm like, let's just not have that on my permanent record. The point is, the UK has been ban hammering tons of people. And because of this, we've been trying, or I should say I have been trying, just not to keep my head down for the time being. If we have to go for some reason, I want to be able to. And these are a couple of reasons that are pretty good. What I will say is, I don't know exactly what his pitch was or what he was supposed to do at the Oxford Union. They invited me to debate the Constitution, that Donald Trump has betrayed the Constitution. And I believe Michael Knowles said that he will be there debating as well. But I'm going to say this. I don't like Hassan Piker. Cenk has got bad ideas, but he's all right. However, how are you supposed to have meaningful debate if the people who are prominent and influential to debate can't come to debate? This besmirches the prestige of the Oxford Union Debate Hall because the government is not allowing people to come in and actually have those debate. People of influence.
Wouldn't even let Kanye in.
They wouldn't let him in. I think they ban Lauren Southern back in the day as well.
Lauren Southern, definitely Nick Fuentes.
Well, Nick Fuentes just went.
But here's the best part. Someone on Hassan's chat said sneak in, and he goes, "That's not a thing. You can't sneak into the UK." And I'm just like, that's how you know the dude doesn't read the news. That's how you know Hassan doesn't actually know what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
Like, this is the principal political issue that's led to, partially, I should say, Reform UK and Unite the Kingdom, that literally people sneak into the country. But, and then someone said, go to Ireland. And he's like, it's not about being in the vicinity. I'm supposed to go to the UK. Well, welcome to politics, my friend. Ain't going to happen.
This is the thing. I mean, the UK does not have American-style First Amendment protections for speech. They just don't.
No.
They've cited
they'll
this
arrest
reason.
you for praying.
Yeah. I mean, we know about that. We see about it all the time. And it's like, I think the reason cited was his presence wouldn't be conducive to the public good. That's the same reason that they said that Valentina Gomez and all these other people who are going to come participate in the Tommy Robinson event were denied entry.
I think they said the same thing for Kanye. Like, conducive to the public good.
Yeah, I buy it. I mean, but look, at the same time, I'm not spilling a whole lot of tears for look, at some level, I kind of want America to do more of this, like, as it pertains to foreign nationals.
Indeed.
Who are abroad. People
who want to
we
come
do
here.
Not grant First Amendment rights to under our Constitution. I don't want people like Hassan Piker coming into my country. It makes it worse.
He was born in the U.S.
I don't want people like Hassan Piker in our country at all. I think he should be sent
But
back as an anchor
here's
baby.
the issue. Why should, the commentary we see from, Glenn Greenwald and many other prominent liberals is that, and even Hassan himself, this is what Trump has created when they start deporting people for criticizing Israel. And my point is, how can a country survive if they open their doors to their enemies to come and espouse a message against them? Now, don't get me wrong, the Israel thing I get. Like, the conundrum there is Trump and the U.S., as well as Israel and AIPAC, do not want people who are going to come in and advocate against U.S. military strategy, their allies, their spending, etc. However, I think it's fair to say that for many activists, the idea that coming to the United States, like if you're a student and you're critical of Israel, they deport you. It's like, I'm not talking about United States, but again, the argument is you're disruptive to our military alliances or whatever. My point ultimately is, should we tolerate opening our door to tourists and students who are coming here for the explicit purpose of denouncing us and advocating to our young people to hate their own country? You can't survive if that's the case.
Yeah.
This is the reality of politics. You get all these people. Here's my debate, okay? They said the debate that they wanted me to be a part of was that Donald Trump has betrayed the Constitution. And my response is, which one? There is no Constitution. The Democrats have their own version where they believe hate speech is not protected by the First Amendment. The right believes it is. The left believes Second Amendment doesn't protect the rights to keep and bear arms, and the right believes it does. The Constitution has been amended and reinterpreted over and over again. The people believe wildly different things. Mm-hmm. What I can say is this. It is an exploitation of the left onto the right to say, you have to stand on your principles of free speech. Meanwhile, they would argue you can't say naughty words. They'll fire you from your job. They will make it so you can never work again, kick you out of your school, ban you from social media and video games if you say naughty words, then argue you have to allow in foreigners into your country under your own principles to disparage your nation and you. And I say nonsense, nonsense.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. Look, Mahmoud Khalil comes to mind, right? This is someone who is essentially like you invite a party guest over for a house party, and then they come and take a piss on the rug. It's like, I've invited you as a guest into my country to come learn from my university, hopefully earn a degree that leads to you doing constructive. Hopefully my country benefits from that education you receive and you work here. But if that doesn't work out, and you come here exclusively to agitate against this country's interests and to engage in civil terrorism day in and day out by blocking roads and interrupting classes and harassing people sitting outdoors at restaurants, you have not been a very good guest, and I would like to see you removed.
I don't
So I don't get particular. I don't disagree with you that it would be bad if the Oxford Union said, Hassan Piker, we don't want you speaking because.
But no, I'm not putting it on
them.
them.
But the UK is saying this foreign citizen.
Well, I'm saying Oxford has invited him.
Yeah.
And the UK government is barring it, which besmirches the debate hall itself.
That's fair.
The idea is Hassan is massively influential among the left, but the politics have made it impossible for the Oxford. And I'm not saying like it's the wrong thing to do necessarily. I'm saying that how can you have a prestigious debate hall when people are barred from coming to it? Now, that being said,
part of the problem is that the global left has elevated Hassan Piker as one of the spokesmen for its causes, someone so grotesque and anti-Western that the UK is literally saying you cannot come.
Yeah, but they're banning Tommy Robinson's friends too, and many of those guys are pro-Israel.
I know.
The ultimate issue is this. The sooner the American traditionalists, like actual American Republicanists, understand the nature of a constitution, the sooner we actually see them fight back and win. And the point is, Republicans, conservatives say things like, I believe in the Constitution. You then get a person like Hassan who challenges you under your interpretation to uphold the Constitution while not caring whatsoever whether they do or don't. That is, the right, I hear this all the time from people on the right where they say, I support the Constitution, the left doesn't. And my response is, which interpretation of the First Amendment is the one you're fighting for? 1781, 1791, 1829, 1956. Tell me where you draw the line on which constitutional First Amendment you're actually agreeing with. Because if you want to go back to the founders, then blasphemy is illegal. And there are a lot of conservatives that want that to be the case. My point is this. The Constitution just means the body politic. And right now there are two in this country. So you got to decide what you are willing to stand up for. And this idea that you're fighting for the Founding Fathers' visions is just not correct. It can be correct in the sense that they open the door to amending the Constitution so that we can do things a little differently as times change. The problem now is you have two distinct worldviews, and one says we don't care about what is written down. The other does. If the right is constrained by their interpretation of the Constitution and the left is not, the right will be flattened.
Well, generally speaking, progressives are not advocating for amendments to the Constitution. They're advocating for selective reinterpretation that just confirms their current worldview.
So is the right.
Advocating for the Supreme Court to reinterpret the Constitution as it's written
conservatives
to be more accommodating to their worldview.
And the conservatives are too.
I mean, what do you like? What comes to mind?
DC v. Heller, McDonald v. Chicago. The original interpretation of the Second Amendment was that the federal government could not take your guns, but the laws were left unto the states to deal with themselves.
Yeah.
That meant if Virginia wanted to ban guns, they could, but the federal government couldn't send armed forces to come and take your guns away. In 2008, the right decided, and I love it because I agree with it, that this federal protection should extend and constrain the states as well, despite the fact we have a 10th Amendment, which is supposed to protect the states from this. So conservatives like to say, oh, I believe in the Constitution. I'm like, yeah, well, the 10th Amendment would stop you from forcing Virginia to be held to the federal constitutional standard. The states were supposed to be allowed to enforce the laws as they saw it. And if you didn't like Virginia, you'd move somewhere else. We can say the same thing with basically all of them. My favorite right now is the 7th Amendment, in which case the 7th Amendment doesn't even exist. The right to civil trials for things, we just to inflation. 7th Amendment protects your right to a jury trial on civil matters, $700 or more. That's 7th Amendment. You have no guarantee of this. They can force you into arbitration, even though it's a constitutional right. So ultimately, my point is, you take a look now at the 14th Amendment. And the left and the right are both arguing what it's really supposed to mean. And the left says it means anyone who comes here and is born as a citizen. And the right says, no, it meant anyone who was born. It doesn't matter if you think you're right or wrong.
That's a good example of the right seeking to, playing the reinterpretation role, because the plain reading of the 14th Amendment is probably closer to.
No, I agree with the right. I agree with the right.
I agree with the right, too.
But the idea was that when they said anyone who was born here is a citizen, they meant past tense, not future. They were saying, if at this point, if you were born in this country, we are stating you're a citizen. They didn't mean for it to be, and moving infinity into the future, everyone will be a citizen. The idea was the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, except in the instance of a duly convicted crime. And the 14th Amendment made sure that slaves were citizens. That's why even with the 14th Amendment, it didn't include Native Americans. It was specifically, you're a slave, you were born here. As of today, you're all citizens. Slavery's gone. And then the left, in, was it Wong Kim Ark or whatever, in like 1890s, reinterpreted that under a textualist argument to say literally everybody from any point moving forward is going to be a citizen. My point ultimately is we can say we're right about what the Constitution is supposed to do. There are many areas where the conservatives are completely wrong. Like, let me ask you a question. Do you think, let's say you're walking down the street and there's a guy standing on a street corner and he blurts out, "Christ is not king." Should he be arrested?
Yeah.
But the founding fathers thought he should be. The founding fathers,
probably.
Blasphemy was illegal. I believe.
The founding fathers probably would have had some amount of internal disagreement.
Absolutely not. It was a crime, and people were jailed hardcore for blasphemy up to the mid 1800s, when we had the Supreme Court ruling that confirmed the conviction of a man who said something to the effect of "Christ is not king." It was a universal Unitarian.
Kind of contra freedom of religion spelled
No,
out?
because we didn't have freedom of religion. Freedom of religion in 1789 meant you can be a Protestant or a Catholic. You had to affirm.
Jews.
But it all
didn't matter. They could not hold office in the United States.
Christ is not
They
king.
could not hold office in the United States.
But in the
was not
First
allowed.
Amendment, it doesn't say that you have a freedom of religion. It says the Congress shall make no law respecting a religion.
Yeah,
And the reason why is because the states did.
I think Jews could hold office, though.
Back then, they could not. You had to be an avowed, you had to express a belief in a Christian God. And so this started to get amended out of state constitutions and laws in the mid to late 1700s. Maryland, so most of the states required you to profess a faith in a Protestant God, except for, I think, Virginia, because Jefferson was a deist, and said, just believe in God and you're good, in which case Jews could. And then you had Maryland, which was a Catholic colony, so they didn't say Protestant, they said whatever, and I think Connecticut was similarly. They started to remove these provisions or amend them into the 1800s, near the end of the 1700s, specifically because they were Catholics and Protestants that were kind of at odds. So when they said freedom of religion, if you look at what was actually going on, they were saying you have a freedom to be Catholic or Protestant, was basically it. In the early to mid 1800s, some guy was a universal Unitarian, he blasphemed, and this was the last time it went to Supreme Court, and they upheld his conviction. And then I believe the formal end to blasphemy was 1956, a Supreme Court interpretation. So this is my point. A conservative today who says the left reinterprets the Constitution, I would argue you are doing the same thing right now. Now, to be fair, a lot of Christian conservatives would be like, okay, let's go back to blasphemy laws. Christ is king.
Yeah, probably.
But I think the evolution of this country politically has been to allow anyone to worship as they see fit. That defies the Founding Fathers' vision for this country. Now, to be fair, the Founding Fathers had amendments as a part of the Constitution so that these things could change and a Supreme Court to interpret these things. But here we are today questioning whether or not we should support the Constitution, while not, for the large part, being cognizant of the fact, and liberals are, that we're just choosing the values of the collective on the right, which is a disparate collective of various individuals, various different political factions, libertarians, conservative, MAGA, populists, or otherwise neocons. The liberals, the left, like Hassan Piker, You go to private meetings, these people, activist meetings, they will tell you explicitly they know everything I said. Their whole postmodernist worldview is the truth is what we decide. And they will lie to you so they can get power. If the right is not aware of these issues pertaining to the Constitution and the body politic, then they will get crushed by a manipulative left that will exploit their good faith in American institutions. And they've been doing it for a long time. Again, when they say to you, do you believe in free speech? And you're like, yes, then why would you ban the Muslim foreigner who came here espousing jihad? It's like, well, because he wants to kill me. Oh, but you believe in free speech, right? Listen, I say free speech. I mean that if you're an American citizen, if you were born here and you have criticisms of the government, no matter what they may be, even if you're a jihadi or whatever, you're allowed to do it. But the idea that we invite foreigners to come in and expand upon that dissent and to inflame it or fund it is insane. The idea that we would allow foreign nations, be it Qatar or Israel, to fund political sentiment in this country and manipulate it is insane. And then they go, but don't you believe in free speech? No, not that. Free speech, you want to go back to the founding fathers? Fine. No blasphemy. Get all these foreign countries out of here. Everyone's got to say Christ is king. Obviously, we're not for that. In which case, you ask me what I'm for in terms of free speech, the right of an American citizen to express their political worldview.
American citizen being the operative word
Indeed.
there that makes the Mahmoud Khalil situation a little bit more flexible for sure.
I just wonder how much of that is just because we become so much of the country is inflamed now around the idea of immigration that this is just not something that people were thinking about even 15 years ago.
Indeed. Scale is always an issue. I talk about this with censorship because I love this line. I get, these liberals who never watch this show and have no idea what I think. They'll be like, aren't you an anti-censorship guy? And I'm like, no, I love censorship. I'm a huge censorship proponent.
Michael Knowles was talking about that just yesterday
Because
in
of-
the context of this
because of his
Piper
son.
issue, Yeah.
I have maintained this position since the whole fight over woke censorship and big tech censorship began. First, private platforms can ban whoever they want. I think so. The issue becomes scale. If the president can only meaningfully communicate in a privately owned stadium, you've created a public harm when you ban random people through private choice. This is why we have something called publicly owned private spaces. There are special rules pertaining to property when, so this pertains to Occupy Wall Street. Hence, I've always had this position. Somebody bought a piece of land in Manhattan, turned it into a park. The city then says, okay, it's privately owned, but it's a public space, therefore public rules apply. You cannot ban people willy-nilly. It's going to be considered public now. So my argument is the line in which Twitter or Facebook, X now, loses their right to ban people willy-nilly is when they become monopolistic. And not even necessarily monopolistic, but duopolistic or triopolistic, whatever it might be. There's like 3 big tech platforms for communication. If you are to ban someone from any one of those platforms, the idea that I can go to Facebook is not correct if Facebook is banning me. So the other thing, too, is censorship is good. Censorship means getting rid of gore, child abuse, crime videos, advocacy for crime. These things are all good.
Fire in a crowded movie theater.
You can. That's actually allowed. That's always been allowed. Yeah, Brandenburg v. Ohio.
We can yell fire in a crowded
Indeed, that is a myth. This goes back to what, like 1930? Was it 60s? I think, where the Supreme Court explicitly stated you are allowed to yell fire in a crowded theater.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that somehow that got inverted
How come? That seems dangerous.
because you have a right to free speech. The idea of yelling fire in a crowded theater when there isn't one can create panic, but not imminent lawless action. So indeed, you can. In fact, you can own a cannon too. This is something that we hear for a lot from liberals. They say, "You're not allowed to own a cannon, are you?" No, you are. Can't. I can have a musket. I've actually got a musket right behind me. I have a Civil War Union musket, and I can fly in a plane with that thing.
Oh yeah.
Indeed, they're not considered firearms. They're old, so you can carry a flintlock pistol on your belt anywhere, every state.
Yep. An artifact.
You can carry a 50 caliber musket ball, powder and packing material, and the musket, and it is not considered carrying a gun.
You would just have to do that.
Yeah, indeed.
Loading thing. What is that
Now,
called?
muzzle loaded.
Muzzle.
Loading. I wonder about paper cartridges from old school breech loading muskets when they first invented them. With the old Civil War slugs, those might qualify as firearms. But the cartridges were made of paper. So they would take a piece of paper, they'd put the slug in it, they'd pour the powder, and then they'd twist it. and then you break barrel and slide it in and close it, and they put a percussion cap on it. The hammer hits the cap and sends a spark into the fire. So the Union had that at the Battle of Gettysburg. That's how they crushed the Confederates, but that's a whole other thing. Anyway, long story short, guys, you need to understand that the only thing that's going to matter is your willingness to uphold your values and refuse to stand down. When they come to you and say, you must allow me to espouse the destruction of your nation because that is within your principles, you simply say no. For the principle of free speech under the First Amendment only exists so long as we defend this nation from those who would seek to destroy it. And if you would seek to use the First or Second Amendment to destroy the rights under the First or Second Amendment, it becomes oxymoronic. It becomes moot and paradoxical, in which case I no longer respect your right to retain those rights under or to be protected under those amendments.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Word.
Now, aside from all that, let's talk about some fun stuff. We got this from the New York Post. Viral video of rising light after meteor streaks past erupting Philippine volcano sparks alien frenzy. But scientist has explanation. An explanation, in my opinion, that is wrong. But, who am I? I'm not a scientist. Here's the video. Actually, you know what? There is some audio on this one. So I don't think it's any significant audio, but watch this. Look at that. Just wait. There's more. It's not over yet. So we just saw a meteor flying past the volcanic eruption, and now comes the UFO. That thing's got a tail. It appears to be lighting up the atmosphere around it. It's a bright light. It looks like the clouds, the moisture in the air, is being illuminated by it. Now, this Harvard guy says, it's probably just a passing satellite. My question is, if you can see the satellite, why can't you see the stars?
It's an alien.
Right? Aliens, that proves it.
Yep.
The other thing, too, is if it's a satellite, why does it appear to be illuminating moisture in the air around it? So, again, here's this thing. Look at that. That's amazing.
Big meteor.
Could it not have anything to do with that thing? I guess I don't know how it would, but
Oh yeah,
Yo,
that's what I was thinking.
it comes
Did it come off of that
directly.
thing?
Look,
if it did and it bounces right.
look
back.
where the meteor lands. It comes literally from just where that line is. It's the exact same spot.
Yeah,
Right.
It's the exact same spot.
yeah.
So
does that
who knows? But I asked Grok, I said, what are the chances that a meteor strikes near a volcanic eruption followed by a satellite flying overhead? And it's like the odds of all of that occurring in the same vicinity is 1 in trillions.
Oh wow.
But who knows?
It's unlikely.
Who knows?
Wait,
It
so
is-
did the
it is
meteor
unlikely.
hit?
Apparently.
It didn't hit the volcano. It landed behind the volcano.
Okay.
Or did it just burn up?
Well, yeah.
But look at that. That's
Could have just burned it.
crazy.
You don't see like an impact.
All right, now here's what gets crazier. May 28th, I believe this happened on the 25th, right? Yeah, May 25th is when we saw this fireball at the meteor. Yo, in Boston on Saturday, there was another meteor, and there was a sonic boom and 2 earthquakes in South Carolina, all within like a couple of days of each other.
They meteor in Boston, they think actually landed in the Gulf of the Cape.
Or it was an alien vessel landing.
Well, yeah, it landed.
Here's what I'm going to say about this. Let's get conspiratorial, right? If a UFO was coming to Earth and it was traveling light years through space, would it not have a smaller personal vehicle within it? Like
Possibly.
when people drive with like trailers and they got their camper, on the back of that camper they'll have bicycles.
Bicycles or
You don't drive your
boat
Class
and a
A,
canoe.
tour bus into the city and then say, hey, let's go to McDonald's. We'll take the tour bus. You go, nah, I'm going to take an Uber or a rental or something and leave the tour bus. It's too big. So my point is, if aliens were coming to Earth, they'd be in a larger vessel. And then when after they land, they would depart in a smaller vessel for domestic travel.
That's how they did it in
perhaps
Independence
more,
Day.
Perhaps more relevantly, like when we build rocket ships, don't they like fall apart into pieces, right? Like they
You don't
start
smash them into the planet, though.
Maybe we should.
We're not that advanced.
Maybe
we
they
haven't
maybe.
gotten to another planet yet.
Maybe they took that Blue Origin explosion as some type of like sign of life, and now they're here because of
like,
that.
let's go check that
What if
out.
aliens blew up the Blue Origin rocket? They were like, only Elon.
They're like, we don't like you, Bezos.
Elon's actually an alien hybridizing himself with humans.
I feel like he would look different if he was.
Unless, do you know about the Enids? Enids, right? a conspiracy theory, the Nordics, some call them.
Okay.
What's that?
So there's this viral Reddit post where they claimed the U.S. government became apprised of the existence of Enids, what they call Nordics, but the Nordics call themselves the Enids. 65,000 years ago, aliens took, I'm sorry, not 65,000 years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago or something, early humans were taken by aliens to a different planet where they would be given access to technology and education immediately so they could compare the two civilizations, one with abundance and information, one without, to see how they develop. So the Enids are massively more advanced than humans. And now the theory is they come to Earth to research humans in the wild because they were raised in captivity with technology and they have a very specific moral worldview. They come here and intermingle among us and look just like regular humans because they are. And this is really funny. Okay, I got to pull it up. Here we go. CIA.
That's fascinating.
Wait, hold on. We're not done yet. Check this out. From New York Post, whistleblower claims CIA used DNA data from Ancestry and 23andMe customers in search for aliens. Now, how would that make sense, right? How would it make sense for the CIA to take DNA from Ancestry and 23andMe to find aliens if these are just human customers, unless
People with no DNA.
there are humans that are alien to this planet that come from somewhere else and have already hybridized, and there are people on this planet who do not realize they have alien DNA in them. And so the CIA, aware of this, is like, we got to figure out who the sleepers are.
Maybe.
Right after this story came out was when Trump had the thing about aliens walk amongst us, and it was actually just SEO optimization to get this story
Dude,
out
that
of
was such a
headlines.
letdown. And then it was like an illegal aliens
Yeah,
website.
like, I'm guessing
Yeah.
they
We call that
I don't know about y'all.
what do they call it? They call it AI optimization now, or whatever, right?
Yeah, like stories like this. The real conspiracy theory would be the CIA not using these databases to track down somebody they wanted to find.
Oh, we know they do that.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, that's kind of my big conspiracy theory, is that government is actually just so woefully incompetent at everything that, like, they've actually achieved very little. Taking very little on us. And that's
don't
why
think so.
companies like Palantir are doing so well.
Yeah.
I don't think so, because I actually think manipulations of systems are extremely easy. I'll give you an example. There was a hacker named Weave. So he was very prominent back in the early 2010s. And apparently he had called Pakistan. He called a government Pakistani line, spoofing an Indian line. So this like high-level Pakistani official gets a phone call, caller ID says India, and he goes, "You son of a bitch, I am going to nuke you. We're going to nuke Pakistan right now." And the guy was like, "Fuck you, don't tell me." And apparently, like, the U.S. government got really mad about it. And so this guy, he ends up going to prison. And this is maybe apocryphal. I mean, it's been 16 years. Weave goes to prison because he and this other guy discovered when Apple released this iPad, the way it worked is you'd buy the iPad, and then it would when you open the tablet, it would auto load your email based on like where you bought it from, like AT&T or whatever. And so they were like, how does it know? And they saw in the URL that it auto loaded was a number. So this one dude says, I'm going to change, it says like 7913261. I'm going to change the 1 to a 2, increment it up 1. Sure enough, it fed him back a different email. And then they realized they just straight have a raw, unencrypted database of everyone's email who bought an iPad. And so not Weave, but this other guy wrote a script that would just auto-load all of the URLs, collecting a list of the emails, which they then turned over to a journalist, which is normal information security research. And they turned it over, I think, to Gawker, who published it saying, major security leak, Apple has released his emails. The federal government then went down to Georgia and arrested him under the CFAA, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, claiming that what he did was illegal, even though he didn't actually do it. The big question was, why did he get 5 years in prison for loading a URL? Well, some of the people in the hackerspace told me it's not really about that he did this. It's just the only thing they can get him on. And they told me this story where he apparently called Pakistan, spoofing India, threatening to nuke them, potentially triggering a nuclear war in World War III. My point is this. A lot of people believe that governments are incompetent. And it is true, massive systems at scale are extremely difficult to maintain. That being said, I actually think it's extremely easy for a single individual to nuke the world. In essence, I'll give you an example. There was this point 10 years ago where the Syrian Electronic Army hacked the Associated Press on Twitter and put up a fake tweet saying that a bomb had gone off at the White House and then Obama was injured. So this was like 12 years ago or something. Actually, it might have been 13 years ago. The stock dropped by like $10 billion. Like the stock market just collapsed. All because some like 20-year-old kid in Moscow spoofed some intern at the Associated Press's email, tricked them into giving him access to Twitter, and then he just tweeted a sentence, and billions of dollars wiped off the stock market, and it never fully recovered. At the time, it bounced back something like 80%, meaning tens of billions of dollars of wealth transferred hands in that moment, all because some college intern kid tricked some other college intern kid. So again, we talk about, is the government competent, capable of doing these things? I got to be honest, man. A single like the terrifying reality is, I'll give you an example. What would happen if a prominent, high-profile conservative personality fabricated a news story? Like a serious one. You take a look at the J.D. Vance couch story, which is a big, it comes up in the Plattner one. Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel and all these pundits run it like it's true to trick people into believing it's true to destroy J.D. Vance. That is softball. That is a pittance. What if someone fabricated a bunch of photos, a bunch of emails, came out and confirmed the biases of tons of people pertaining to Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Qatar, or otherwise? What would happen if Steven Crowder intentionally fabricated emails from Qatar paying Tucker Carlson, fabricated phone calls? Certainly the government wouldn't go after Tucker. They might actually investigate it. What would the average person do? Most people would believe it, and it would be massively disruptive to the United States government. It would create a scandal. It would result in press conferences. A single influential person could choose through nefarious means to disrupt the global economy if they really wanted to. And it's kind of scary. I think about it quite a bit, how easy it would be.
Well, going back to that point about the fabricated page from J.D. Vance's book, Hillbilly Elegy, that talks about him having sex with a couch cushion or whatever. That was kind of the brilliant aspect of this, is that it didn't even need to be true. It just needed to kind of code as generally something that was in the right register and tone of the book, such that you could get people to believe it. And all of these people, when I run these focus groups out in the country now, and I talk to people about where they're consuming news, hardly anybody ever names an outlet, especially the younger the people you're talking to. It's algorithmic. People let
me put it like this. Like, so last year I got invited to meet at the Blair House with Netanyahu. Mm-hmm. I could have said anything. I could have confirmed the bias. What actually happened was he blathered on about Socrates and like the judicial system or something. It was kind of boring. And then he argued why the United States needed to go to war with Iran, to which half the room was like, oh, no, we don't want to do this. And the other half was like, we must because Israel is so good. What if one person in that meeting came out and claimed that Netanyahu went up to him and offered him $7,000 to lie, and just insert any lie you want? They would be invited on every anti-Israel podcast. They would be invited to speak in Qatar and Saudi Arabia. They'd be paid millions of dollars. It would be disruptive politically to the United States, to their military operations. It certainly would piss off Israel. And that's just one person deciding to lie, and it would work.
That's basically, I think, what Tucker kind of does a version of that, right? Like he's much more careful and he hedges a lot more.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of like, there is smoke here. I didn't tell you there's fire.
I'll give a shout out to Dave Smith, who recently criticized conservatives. He said that they will complain about George Soros all the time, but seem to ignore Miriam Adelson, to which I will stress that, Dave, you supported Trump in 2024 when it was a major scandal for the anti-Trump factions that Miriam Adelson committed $100 million towards his election, I believe through PACs and other special interest groups, in which the stories published by many progressive groups as well as like Al Jazeera was that a contingency was she wanted Israel to annex the West Bank. So for, Dave Smith, who missed that story, I guess.
She didn't get her money's worth, if that's the case, because that hasn't happened.
who says it has to happen now. She's talking about recommitting more to the Republican efforts. The point ultimately is, how are there so many people who are shocked? Like Tucker Carlson is a good example. When he's like, I didn't intentionally mean for this to happen. What's happening is so miserable. And then his brother literally says, well, Miriam Adelson gave him $100 million. And he goes, like Tucker knew exactly what he was supporting.
Of course.
There's no way he did not.
Of course.
And that's why I view them all as disingenuous.
He's also been in Washington for a very long time. He knows these players. He knows the name of the game. I'm sorry. Like, there's also another piece of that Dave Smith quote you just came up with that needs to be sort of clarified, which is that George Soros spends tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars on liberal causes and helping to elect far-left Democrats to office, and Miriam Adelson spends tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, more than literally anyone in the country, to elect Republicans to office. And that is how she's been spending her fortune for years and years and years. Since before, when her husband was around, that was how they spent their fortune together.
It's because Israel is clickworthy right now. I think I can lay it out pretty simply, I suppose. I've many times. I was recently hanging out with some friends, and one guy mentioned he used to watch the show all the time. Used to being the key phrase. He didn't dislike the show. He didn't have beef with the show. It's just people kind of just the trends changed. Politics was pop culture. We're in the off season right now. So on YouTube, we peaked at about 17,000 concurrents. On Rumble, we have 13,600. So we're at 16.7 on YouTube right now and 13.6. So around 30K is where we've been hitting it. But come on, we're getting into the summer. We're 3 weeks from summer. Ain't nobody wants to be sitting around on a summer night, listen to politics talk when there's no elections going on. It's not in the zeitgeist. It's not interesting. Well, how do you make money and maintain viewership then? Here's the thing. Here's a secret. I'll tell you a story about Fusion. When I worked at Fusion, ABC News Univision joint venture, it was a big scandal. It wasn't really a scandal, but what had happened was the sales team committed to advertisers something like 500,000 views. So here's how it works. They go to, insert soda company and say, we will run your ad on our website. You will get 500,000 unique views to see that ad. We'll track that and deliver it for you. Like, we'll then show you the report if you give us, say, 50 grand or whatever. So the sponsor pays for it. I don't know what the exact rate was. After a month, they only had 300,000 views and they were freaking out. We already sold the views. We are contractually obligated to get 200,000 more. This is also true, not so much these days with the podcast space, because now sponsorships, the way they do it is like, it's with, I guess for Fusion, they're like a newer company. They needed money up front. There's something called upfronts in the media business where you take the aggregate, like past 2 quarterly averages, and then sell ads based off of those. But for some of these contracts, they're like, look, in Q3 and Q4, we averaged, 30 million per month. We're going to sell at that rate. What happens then if they say we want a contractual guarantee for 60 million? This means that if in the next 2 quarters you don't hit 60, you've got to give them free ad space in the next 2 quarters to make up that lost inventory. So imagine we're entering the political off season. Christmas comes, viewership is declining. Last year we were averaging 50 to 60K per episode. Now we're averaging 30. It's the off season. What do you expect? You've got Trump and a fresh presidency with the first 100 days. Then, the controversies that slowly trickle down and the viewership declines. In winter, they go up. So viewership will probably go up in winter for us, especially with the midterms. Imagine you're Tucker Carlson, fresh out of Fox News, and he starts with a bang, but his viewership starts slowly going down. If he overcommitted on ads, how's he going to make sure that he fills that inventory space? Same thing with Candace Owens. Contractual obligations. I don't know if they have those obligations.
You got to start appealing to people either outside of the American right or outside of America.
If you're a political show,
audience.
Yeah.
If you're a political show and you're trying to attract new viewers, but Americans are outside of the political space in the off season, you need to find politics that will be attractive to foreign individuals.
Yeah,
exactly.
And the easiest thing in the world is going to be Israel.
Yeah. Israel is not popular with far more countries than it is popular with, and even in countries that are ostensibly have good relations, like the populations are split on it. So it's
where it is unpopular, it is like
very
unpopular, and it is like singularly and obsessively unpopular.
You got 2 billion people to choose from.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Kazakhstan, right?
When you look at the way the social media machine is structured, the U.S. is going to homogenize with the rest of the world's views.
Yeah.
And you've got, I think for the most part, the world itself.
Globalism, not so great.
Well, I think the world itself is anti-Israel.
Yeah, of course.
And what I mean by that is there are certainly many countries that are pro-Israel, many governments that are pro-Israel, and Israel certainly lobbies for this. But generally speaking, you get 2 billion Muslims, 1.6, 1.7 billion Muslims, Muslim theocratic nations. They are going to dump massive resources. Christian nations, and I don't mean because there aren't really countries that are overtly Christian theocracies, but they are Christian in terms of a state religion. They're not spending money to promote Israel. Mm-hmm. They don't care. Islamic nations, they're spending money against Israel. They care. So if you're running if you're talking about France, I mean, they're largely Islamic. I mean, European countries are being overrun by Islam as it is. All of this is going to result in Israel getting cooked.
Yeah, I mean,
And some people tell me not to use Gen Z slang when referring to Israel because of the Holocaust, but you get my point.
I didn't even pick up on that.
No, because people have already commented when I say Israel got cooked. Cooked just means you're getting crushed, you're getting beat up. Yeah. But they were like, Tim, that's a bad analogy. Yeah, shut up.
No, I think it's fine. But also, it's like the thing is though is like it's a numbers game, yeah, but there's also a competence factor, and you have to look at like who Israel's churning out. Look at the Nobel Peace Prizes per capita relative to the Muslim world. Look at the high-tech inventions. Look at the investments. Look at the capital coming in and out. Israel overperforms on all of these metrics.
Easy, you're getting close to IQ talk here, man.
That would have been the first.
That may
Dangerous
be,
territory.
but holy crap, are they bad at PR?
Oh,
And the argument is that Israel wants people to hate Israel, which
Yeah.
is like, that's stupid.
I think the best thing Israel could do for its own PR is probably just disband its PR department and begin operating solely motivated by, like, this is what I say to all these American companies, right? Drop your ESG, drop your DEI, just focus on winning and bringing in profit.
Yeah.
Israel, just do that, dude. Like, you don't need to like tell everybody how great the Tel Aviv Pride Parade is, okay? It's not buying you any goodwill with
not
congressional
helping.
Democrats.
It's not helping.
Just chill out.
They ran that campaign.
They did-
And it's like
they're
all
still
it did
running
was,
it.
All it did was piss off every conservative, and Democrats are like, we literally don't care.
Yeah, there's nothing. Look, if you're critical of Israel and you have a knee-jerk negative opinion of Israel, there's not a whole lot that Israel's going to be able to do.
I'll say this.
Change that.
I'll tell you why Israel's in trouble. Because Gen Z slang for processed garbage food is goy slop. So like,
What are they going to do? Start buying a bunch of kosher food from Israel? Like, Israel's just going to make bank from that at the end of the day?
Let me stress this again. A 20-year-old dude who walks into a fast food restaurant and refers to McDonald's as goy slop, doesn't care about the Jews, isn't an anti-Semite. He's just saying a phrase that many people online say in reference to processed garbage food.
He's heard Asmongold say it. Like, Asmon says that kind of stuff all the time. Which is, I mean, and he's not particularly critical
so
of Israel.
the issue becomes, these individuals who are saying it as a meme. They're not saying it literally to claim that Jews are feeding them garbage food.
Yeah, but do you know what the biggest goy slop is in the world?
McDonald's?
Being someone who goes out in the real world and uses the term goy slop among normal people.
But goy slop is food.
It's food, though.
No. Goy slop is
food.
But is it just food?
Yes.
Or is it okay, but specifically though, it is an indication, like, why does that term get used? Because it's an indication that but isn't it supposed to also be something that theoretically distracts you? Like, it's the catnip they give the goyim so they're not focused on like the Jews who are controlling the world or Israel's controlling the world.
I don't think...
I've heard it used in wider context than just like food.
Indeed, maybe like Nick Fuentes literally is talking about Jews creating poisoned food to kill them.
Like, he'll talk about
but
people
again,
spending all their money on Marvel action figures.
Indeed, my point is there are 20-year-olds who are apolitical who have heard the phrase goy slop, think it's funny, and just say it as a meme.
I don't think that hurts Israel. Do you?
My point is that it is the normalization of these phrases and ideologies that ultimately puts Israel in a negative light.
Dude, if you Google
whether it's true or not, it's negative press.
If you Google the term goy slop, there's a song on Spotify.
What is the Webster's definition
I haven't heard it, but
of goy slop?
It's real. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. I Googled it just to see what. It's
an offensive internet slang term to describe ultra processed fast food.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I love about the goy thing? There was someone on X that was like, they said something really dumb. They said, Jews are the only people who have created a war that means us versus them. Goy literally means them. They treat us like animals. And I was like, that literally gaijin is the same thing in Japanese. Like, it's just a word meaning not us that's held by many cultures. And so they say gaijin means foreigner. And I'm like, yeah, it means not Japanese.
Yeah.
So, like, there are many cultures that have a word. And it's funny. The reason I bring up Japan is because gaijin and
it
goyim
literally just means
are very
nation
similar.
in Hebrew, like nation.
That's the original. The
Yeah.
original translation was nations, in which you could refer to Jews as goyim, but it became to specifically mean others, probably because they didn't have a nation.
No, yeah, like the.
So at a time when Jews were a nationless people,
Yeah.
they referred to the nations. It was everybody else.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like Israel, their best bet is probably just to keep operating at a high level. And that's that's a little bit why I feel like the memery maybe doesn't kill them. Like when I see the guys on social media going like, Benjamin Netanyahu, if you can hear me, like, please move this woman's car in front of me who is not moving in traffic or whatever. Like, you know, it's bad for them probably that they have become like a perpetual meme. But on the other hand, it sort of reminds me of like, what is Marco Rubio's meme? Marco Rubio's meme is him sitting in the chair in the office being like hyper competent and capable of completing
Yeah,
any
but see, that's a
job.
good thing.
not the
Well, what is
half
Israel's
the
meme?
percent.
Israel's
It's
meme is
not-
that they are like all powerful and like kill all their enemies. Like Nick Fuentes,
And they're
how many
gonna
times
kill
has
you.
he? How many times has Nick? Oh, they're not going to kill you. Come on, you're
That's
American.
the meme.
But if they own America, why would they be killing Americans?
The explanation from these people is that they want to replace strong white Americans and the heritage Americans with third worlders who are too stupid to fight back.
What? But if they
what
replaced
they
all the
believe.
strong white Americans, who would they have to fight their wars for them?
They don't want them to fight their wars.
Israel doesn't want America to fight their wars? Isn't that like part of the whole like Groyper ideology?
No.
All right, you got to walk me through it, Tim.
Basically, if you ever have an issue, your logical conclusion must be it benefits Israel and Israel is evil, even if it's illogical. So, like, we had this woman on the show, and she said that Zelensky was a Jew and Netanyahu put him in power. And I said, for what purpose? And she goes, because Netanyahu wants a corridor stretching from Israel to Ukraine. Now, the thing is, she made that up on the spot.
Yeah.
There's nowhere, anywhere where that makes sense. There's no history, no politics, no military action that makes sense. It's literally just nonsense. He's not going to conquer Turkey, although he has been ragging on Turkey.
He hasn't even conquered Gaza, and he's had like 3 years to do
But
it.
they just make things up.
And they have nuclear weapons.
The point is, the reason why it's bad for Israel, I think Israel's they're in serious trouble. They're surrounded on basically every side by enemies, and they're losing the support of the American people.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah.
Give it 20 years, and I don't think the U.S. fund. I don't think Israel gets funding from the United States in 10 years.
They don't even want it anymore, right? Netanyahu's coming over here and
they
being
say.
like, "We don't want the money anymore." I think the money probably makes them both worth off. America probably gets something out of it, right? Because it goes back into our own economy, and
It's all. We're basically just making weapons and giving them to Israel,
yeah,
and then that creates jobs in
selling
the
it,
United
yeah,
States. So no, we're giving it. It's a grant.
It's a government subsidy for weapons manufacturers,
Right. So the idea is we're taking U.S. taxpayer dollars, building weapons, and then giving those weapons to Israel.
Yeah, but all the Congress members still want it because then it's jobs in their district.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all because
It's
everything's.
our own economy. It's no different than any other subsidy. Like
I would kind of
something goes
rather
to the
have
farmers.
all those missiles and tanks lining our border, and
And they were doing that
Well, we should
during
do that too, not
they were
mutually
doing that during Ukraine as well, and people had a problem with it then. If you had a problem with it then, you should have a problem with it now.
Yeah. That's very boomer of me. I'm kind of for like America's allies buying lots of weapons from us and, being ready to turn them on our enemies to degrade and destroy them.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like Palmer Lucky's thought process. The guy from Andril.
Yeah,
he
he's the
thinks
best.
the United States should be the world's gun store. Right, just make a bunch of weapons and sell them to people. And obviously, there will be limitations. We're not going to sell. We're not going to have U.S. companies that are making cutting-edge weapons selling them to Russia or to China. But if the U.K. for now wants to buy weapons, it's okay.
Right.
If Japan wants to buy
This is
weapons,
one
that's
thing,
okay.
Tim, maybe you can explain this to me, is like I have been curious when I read about all of our encouraging of Europe to stand on its own 2 feet and spend more on their own or build more of their own weapons. That means they're going to be buying less from us, right? Like, why do we want
Maybe.
that necessarily?
why do we? I think when you look at deficit spending, taxpayer dollars, the way the country works is we don't take tax dollars from people to buy things. or buildings. We do them anyway and then tax people after the fact to pull money out of the economy for inflation. So
that's something I wish more people.
what this money represents when the government prints dollars, it represents the labor of an individual in exchange for food and shelter for the most part. Leisure comes after the fact. Right now, we're manufacturing weapons that we give away. I don't know. What if we fixed bridges and roads? What if we built community centers and did public works projects for housing and things like this?
Or even just charged people for the weapons, right?
That too.
Yeah.
But I just say this country would be better off if our resources were spent on building new roads, repairing old, decaying infrastructure, as opposed to making weapons and shipping them off to Israel or any other country. So, Israel gets the free weapons. Members of Congress get factories in their district. And I'm just sitting here being like, why not make not weapons then? And I don't know, do helicopters.
Oh, and
why not just make a ridiculous amount of airplanes or something?
And Americans, now your gas is watered down and you have to deal with crappy gas mileage. And,
Yeah, why not just subsidize gas?
Yeah.
If we're going to allocate money towards
You don't even
weapons,
need to
then
subsidize. You can just unleash all of the regulatory infrastructure.
my point
and
is,
produce way more domestic.
if
oil,
you're
too.
going to instruct Americans to produce weapons, tanks, guns, or otherwise with zero economic benefit to the American people, take that same money to allocate energy towards the production of energy.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a very intellectually strong argument for zeroing out foreign aid. It's a small portion of the federal budget entirely. But
The only I'm overall I'm for getting rid of foreign aid. The only thing that kind of makes me a little hesitant is the idea that when you are giving money away, like the way that the U.S. does, it gives more value to the money.
Yeah.
Right? So if people have dollars, they want those dollars to be worth something, so they'll spend them, and other people will take them because of it.
It's a South
plus
Park
it
that
buys you influence.
South Park did the episode about this where the alien bank robber comes with alien money.
Oh yeah.
And then they steal it.
Space.
The alien cops come and they're like, no money here. And then all of a sudden they're all wealthy. And then the aliens try to explain to them the money has no inherent value. It's just the value that you assigned the labor.
Mexico made like 12 water parks.
Yeah. And it was like, why is one of your poorer countries, Mexico, building so many water parks? I'm like, no reason.
17 water parks.
But then at the end, they're like, you realize you could just do these things without the alien money. It's just how you assign resources to labor. So that's the reality. Right now, we have a government that is paralyzed and basically saying, let's get Americans to do work to make weapons to give away. And it's like, bro, I'd rather you have that American literally just, play video games. I would rather that money go to some guy in a warehouse live streaming himself playing video games in the most boring way imaginable. At least it's producing something for America, even if it's the bare rock bottom of something to be produced. And I'm not trying to rag on video game streamers. I'm saying someone who's bad at it. I would rather them take that money and literally give to a bunch of communists to just have a hippie drum circle and sing songs. Because at least it's going to Americans instead of being like, we're going to produce something of value and give it away.
Yeah. I'm like partially with you, but at the same time, like I do think there's upside to if you're gonna have like more populist economic policies on any front, you should probably incentivize building a robust defense industrial base. You don't have
If we kept the weapons.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep them.
Well, you sell to your allies, but you don't give them the money to buy it from you.
Pitch.
And you also keep a lot of the weapons.
Members of Congress.
You buy weapons.
I propose we increase spending on weapons. Increase.
I like it.
For the purpose of establishing the Department of Gun Services in every major metro, every single one. And the way the DGS works is when you turn 16, you can go in, and I'm sorry, but you do have to take a test and go to the shooting range. And if you pass, you'll be given an AR-15, a Glock 17, each with one box of ammunition as your right as an American under the Second Amendment.
Box or case?
I was going to say 1,000.
Well, for the AR, a case.
Okay.
A nice case of what is that going to be, like 500?
Usually a case is 1,000, but yeah.
1,000.
should throw
Really?
one
Like
of
that one
those
over there is 1,000?
Civil War.
Then 1,000 it
muskets,
is.
too.
1,000 it is. I think for the Glock 17, just a box. I mean, what are you going to get from there? 100 or something?
Usually boxes are 50 rounds.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it? Then 2 boxes. You got a little more than that. And at 16. Second Amendment rights. If we have a right to keep and bear arms, then according to the left, healthcare being a human right, We'll split the baby. Healthcare is a human right. We do universal healthcare. Agreed. The government's got to provide guns to everybody the same.
All cars shall have gun racks in the back window again.
And you know what?
Amen.
And it's like, you're 16, you go to the range. Now listen. Some people have pushed back on this idea and said, Tim, the idea that you have to take a test to get a form from the government, it's a right to bear arms. No. You're getting a free gun at taxpayer expense. You're allowed to have the gun at 16 if you buy it yourself. But if you want your free government issue, you do have to take the
It's like
test.
the Book It program with the pizza you get from Pizza Hut after you read the book. Except for it's
Read
a
your
gun.
gun book, get a Glock.
Got a driver's license and they gave you a car.
Yeah.
How do you feel about some of this stuff people have raised about, like, whether transgender people should have the same, like, full extent?
They shouldn't be allowed to have guns.
It should not.
No. So here's the important thing. Again, this always falls to the left will try to exploit what they view of your principles. But I thought you said everyone should have a right to keep and bear arms, and you're against red flag laws. Yep, except for people I don't think should have them. That's it. The left's going to make the argument that they can 5150 whoever they want, and they will. And the sooner conservatives realize that people with power will wield it against them, the sooner they will push back. What do people in this country really want? Good, red-blooded Americans want Christmas morning, apple pie, baseball, right? They want people of sound mind to keep and bear arms. They want people who are dangerous not to have them. They don't want an overbearing government to be able to seize them. The left comes to you and says, if you agree with the idea that someone suffering from an identity disassociation can't have a gun, they will come and accuse you of having a mental disorder. And so I've argued this principally in the past. If we go for the red flag laws, I oppose them largely, because what will happen is a liberal institutionalized government will just pathologize conservatism. Congratulations. If you believe in borders, you're mentally ill. They'll make it up. That being said, we have seen a spattering of transgender mass shooters. These are people with a dissociative identity disorder where they believe they are a different kind of being from their own body.
It used to be categorized as such.
It is. It still is.
Yeah.
It's a DSM-5 mental disorder. And the trans activists actually argue that it should remain, because if it's not, they can't get prescription drugs for it. So if you want to get cross-sex hormones prescribed, it must be listed as a mental disorder. Well, that being said, I think there are some mental disorders which you should be disqualified for. Mental disorders with a high rate of suicidality. We clearly don't want you to have guns, but I do believe it would have to be adjudicated properly. That is, a lot of these red flag laws, they say we can come and take your guns and then you can fight later. No. A notice should be served that there's a legal challenge and you have due process. So they have to have probable cause. They have to get a grand jury to indict, and then you can go to trial. So that is, let's say there's a guy who's standing on the edge of standing on top of a bridge. The cops see that. They have probable cause to assume you're suicidal. They pull you down. They present that evidence to a grand jury. Here's photo, here's video, here's the body camera footage. This man was attempting to end his own life. The grand jury then returns an indictment. You then present the indictment to the gun owner. A grand jury has indicted you on suicidality, and we are now, the penalty for which is we take your guns away for a small set period of time. Then you get a chance to defend yourself. That's how due process should work when it comes to guns.
Wasn't that one of Trump's bigger missteps with some people? Is he's like, take the guns first and then fight it in court?
I think that was an out of context quote. Yeah, the media lied.
Shocking.
It's very typical for them to adjust the quotes depending on what makes Donald Trump look bad.
What was the context of the discussion they were having there?
I'm trying to pull it up.
It's a common sense position, though, and it's not that different from the Hassan Piker stuff we were talking about earlier. Like, yeah, my position is just that, like, I do think it's like, okay, if a foreign sovereign nation decides that they don't want foreigners who are going to come into their country and, proverbially piss on the rug or literally just celebrate anti-Western terrorism. And I do think Tim should be allowed to go to the UK. Like, that's just my view. Sorry, I don't have to like abide by a universal principle that everybody's allowed to say whatever they want all the time. And I don't have to abide by a universal principle that every psycho potential mass murderer is allowed to have a gun. But I think like the vast majority of Americans should be.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a my biggest problem with Piker being, prevented from going to the UK is the people that are going to say that it's because of Israel. I mean, if you look at the Labour Party in the UK, right, there are very few groups that are more critical of Israel than the Labour
I think
Party.
the UK Home Secretary, who's in charge of these kinds of immigration-related decisions, is named like Shahana Mahmood, and she is a career Palestine activist who has also banned a bunch of Israeli ministers and activists.
The idea that it's actually over Israel is just ridiculous.
The context explicitly was that Mike Pence was discussing whether law enforcement should confiscate weapons when they have reason to believe an individual is going to use them to commit a crime or to harm themselves or others. And Trump said, or Mike, take the firearms first, then go to court, because that's another system. Because a lot of times, by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early. Like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida, he had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second. So I will say it is only slightly out of context. He was literally saying, when the police believe someone is going to commit a crime, just go in and take the guns from him. I think a lot of people took it to mean that Trump was saying take people's guns in general and then they can fight later.
Oh, I just assumed it was specific to a case. Maybe that's just my own.
Yeah,
I think
it was specific to Parkland. It was specific to a case where there was a guy that the police knew was planning something, and he was saying, "Go ahead and take the guns." That's an interesting question. Let me ask you guys: if there is a guy who posts online, "I have a bunch of guns. I'm going to go do bad thing," should the police run in, stop him, grab him, and take his guns?
My view is yes.
Yes, absolutely. If there is a known stated intent to commit a crime using firearms, then I believe the police are perfectly justified to go in, arrest him, terroristic threats, take his guns away. So,
by the way, Trump's position there, we're gun nuts here and we're all conservatives here, but I was saying earlier, Trump is this moderating force on the GOP. Even in that line, that's how a lot of Americans feel. Even if this is generally a pro-2A country, Trump's gut sentiment on things like that is very much attuned to and in line with where most Americans are.
The founding fathers believed that the federal government couldn't ban guns. This meant you were allowed to own artillery. Private individuals owned warships. And the U.S. government would retain the services of these private individuals with warships. In fact, private companies make our warships today. Private companies make our nuclear weapons today. So this weird presumption that, I ask people this. I'll ask you this question. Do you think private individuals should be allowed to have nuclear weapons?
I don't know. They're going to be making them on ChatGPT pretty soon.
It has always been the case. The answer is yes. The U.S. contracts out these projects. Nuclear weapons are made by private entities. Our warships, our missiles, our bombs, they are private. They're publicly traded companies. Privately held by publicly held by the American people, but not by the government. So it's funny when I can bring on a senator or a member of Congress and I say, do you think Americans have the right to keep and bear nuclear weapons? Absolutely not. Well, that's literally how it works. It's just people don't get this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of regulations around it,
Indeed. When you're, what is it, on the Nix forum, you got nuclear weapons? Is that what it is? Or no. When, what is it? The, what you call it? The FFL forms.
Wait, but they're produced by private American companies, but they're contracted.
Well, they're public American companies. They're public.
Public American companies, but they're contracted by the government to do so, right? Mm-hmm. Like there isn't a case of an actual individual with a nuclear weapon in his home.
Hold on a second.
As far as we know.
Not that I know.
I don't know that the U.S. government has to ask the nuclear weapon to be made because there are federal licenses where you can fill out and say, I'm making a nuke and submit it to the government.
So then they're like, I'll take one. The government can be like, I'll take one.
Well, here's the thing. How would the government buy a prototype nuclear weapon unless the research was being done to make it? The argument would be that the government has to commission the research first.
I mean, it's the same stuff that goes on with biological warfare, right? They create... They create strains of diseases and then study them.
Mm-hmm.
Lockheed is up 517. Lockheed's up 8.22% to 517 this year. In the last 5 years, they're up 34%. Man, imagine this: you put 100% of your savings in a Lockheed Martin. You extract 3% every year and just live off the interest. Lockheed. Yeah, so I don't know exactly.
More of a
I'd
Northrop
imagine
Grumman
it's a
man
mixed
myself,
bag.
but
I have to imagine that research on prototype weapons, you can't wait for government approval. So we think of nuclear weapons as crazy, so the government must approve this. Well, you got Anduril, Palmer Luckey's company. I don't think he's going to the government asking permission to do research.
No.
I think he's making bombs and then going to the government and being like, yo, check out this bomb I made. It's got wings. It can
The government says,
fly.
sick, thank you.
Exactly.
Love that.
We'll take 100.
Well, that's his whole plan. And another thing that Palmer Luckey is doing is he's trying to make sure that the pieces, the parts that are necessary to make the stuff that he's building aren't so specialized where you can't find them or they have to be specifically designed for what they're doing. He's like, we need to make things. He's like, look at the way that we built tanks and weapons in World War II. We had, Ford was pumping out tanks and they were building all these weapons and all this military equipment. They were doing it from plants that before were building cars.
Yeah.
We need to be able to run down to what equates to, I don't know if there are any
And
more,
these
but they need to run down to like
libertarians
Radio Shack and be able to get the
I
parts
think,
for whatever they're building.
I think if I wasn't doing this job, I'd probably be making weapons. Back during Occupy, there were two things that I was doing. One was live streaming, and the other was hacking drones to do things they were not intended to do. Now, we're making weapons, but we hacked the first ever news broadcast via drone was done by me and my crew. We hacked a commercial toy drone, the Parrot AR, and we used a software development kit to transmit the video feed from the drone to a computer and then retransmit it through the internet to live stream. So you could live stream I had a backpack with a laptop in it that was set to run with the monitor closed. And I had the drone strapped to my bag so I could grab it off my back, put it on the ground, launch it with my phone, and the stream was live the whole time. So we actually flew it during Occupy Wall Street. And we did a bunch of crazy stuff. We had one little drone. It was a ball with wheels, and you could throw it like a ball, and it would bounce and always land upright because it had two big wheels, and we rigged it to do the same thing. So
Yeah,
I could
definitely be good at making weapons. Sounds like you
surveillance tech, and we did a bunch of crazy stuff. One of the things like my buddy did, we were hacking stuff. I made a levitating can of green tea.
Did you make this? Speaking of levitating.
No, that's just something I got off Instagram.
Oh, okay.
So there's a video of me when I was 23. You can watch it. It's on my main channel. I took a can of green tea and I put motors on it so that it would be weighted in the front and vibrate, so it reduces the viscosity, the surface tension, so that the can literally be remote controlled and glide across flat surfaces.
Wow.
So imagine if I don't know what the function would be. I mean,
Can't you just apply that to a car? You got a floating car, flying car?
It would destroy the ground. Yeah. So a can of green tea floating across a wood table is not going to cause enough damage, but if you got like a 1-ton car and it's just flat, a flat bottom with no wheels, and it wouldn't go very fast either. But I don't know what the practical applications of that green tea can would have been. Like a grenade that goes and just vibrates across the ground very slowly.
That's why we got to put you in a room with all the sharp guys at Anduril. Figure it out, What's the best application
we would do some crazy stuff. We were trying to build taser gloves, and my buddy reached out to, I don't know if it was like Von Zipper or something, and he was like, I know a guy at this company, and he hit him up, and he was like, hey, we want to make taser gloves, and they were like, that's cool, we'll sponsor it. And then he emails back being like, my boss asked me if I was insane. So the idea was, I said, so you guys ever see those ab workout things they have? Yeah. You strap a belt on.
Like it does it automatically.
It electrocutes your abs to contract them. And it's like workout while you're sitting there. It's the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
But I saw that and I said, it paralyzes your muscles. It forces them to contract, right? Can we take the same effect without causing pain and put it in a glove so that I can grab Phil's arm and his arm immediately just locks and becomes paralyzed? And they said yes. And I can't remember. It's just been 16 years. But it was like, someone in the chat will know electricity better than me. It's like low amps, high volts or something like that, where it won't electrocute you in the sense where you're like being burned and screaming, but it will trigger a muscle contraction and you won't be able to move your arm. So the idea was, imagine you're a cop or in the military and you have in your hand an electrode that's in the finger and the thumb that you can flick a switch and turn on and grab your culprit, suspect, or otherwise. It doesn't hurt them, but it disables them. And so we were working on making this, and then the sponsors didn't want to do it.
I-
And then I was like, can we then, for seemingly no reason, make it so that when you grab a katana, the electrodes connect to a circuit that wraps around the blade, creating a circuit?
Lightsaber season.
Not a lightsaber, but it would effectively turn the katana into a taser at the same time.
Dude, that's
So you connect the circuit, and it would, and then you can touch somebody with it, and so it would have to have 2 points on the end to complete the circuit, which would be your body. So when you got stabbed by the katana with the glove on, your body would connect the circuit, and you'd get fried from the inside. I'd probably be making weapons.
the closest I ever got to technology like that is the handshake prank buzzer thing.
Oh,
when you're
yeah.
a little kid and you put it out and you shake your dad's hand and it zaps him.
Classic.
Or something.
We built a cooling system for mobile hotspots. This is one of the most fun things that we did at the space. There was a protest in Anaheim, and it was super hot. And so all of these people would started live streaming. They walk around holding their phones up. But I would always tell people, do not buy a black case for your phone. Buy a white case, because the black cases absorb the heat from the sun, and they're going to overheat really fast. But, nobody understands physics. So there I am. If you watch all the old videos from me live streaming back during Occupy, I always have a white case. If you watch the Occupy streams, you can see me holding an iPhone with a white case, because it's gonna keep it cool. It's internally gonna get hot, but it'll at least keep the sun off. So in Anaheim, it was so hot, we 3D printed a case for the mobile hotspot that was black and didn't have a case, and we snapped it in, and then we took an big Energizer battery, and we soldered cables to a 40 millimeter computer fan that's screwed onto the base. So you have a 3D printed case, 40 millimeter fan, hotspot. And then we took the wires and soldered connections so that we could plug it into an Energizer battery that powered the fan and kept air flowing over the hotspot to stop it from overheating. So during this protest, tons of streamers' cameras, phones went down from overheating, and we were good. So we were doing tons of crazy stuff like that back in the day. Those were fun. Those were fun times. I'd be making bombs.
Making bombs.
They'd be like, that's a great drone, Tim. It's highly maneuverable. How do we get a bomb on it? And I'd be like, oh, I can do that. I actually consulted the U.S. government, specifically warning them about this. When I got asked to consult on drones because of the work we were doing, they were like, what's something, it was this government coalition working with the university in, I think, North Carolina. And they said, what's one thing that we should be aware of with drone technology that we're not thinking of? And I was like, that anybody can strap a C4 payload to one of these bad boys, fly it into a city at 30 miles an hour, and blow up any target before you can do anything about it. And they were like, what? And I'm like, honest question. If somebody strapped a bomb to one of these things, launched it from across Jersey, and flew it full speed into Manhattan, how do you stop it? It's 200 feet up. It's going 35 miles an hour, and you don't even know it's coming until it's too late.
And
even if you blast it out of the sky with, say you had like a confetti gun. One of the things we contemplated was having a drone that could fire a string, literally just thin sewing string, and that would take out a drone and knock it out of the sky. And I said, even if you were able to do that, this thing's still carrying a bomb and it's blowing up where it is. One of the things we had talked about, which is fascinating because they actually did it, was microwaves. So you blast directed energy weapons, a microwave, at a drone, disrupting its communications, and it will fall out of the sky, or just frying its motors, overheating, and causing it to crash. And then I think it was actually, didn't Anduril create the Pulse?
Yeah.
Where they got a swarm of drones, and they click a button, and it pulses, and all the drones fall out of the sky.
I mean, device is pretty close to the kinds of weapons you're describing. Like, I feel like I've seen videos of them on my feed, like out of Ukraine and even
they've got these
Lviv or something.
they have these big rifles where when they click a button, it just blasts microwave frequencies, and the drones just fritz out and.
Wow.
That's why a lot of the drones in Ukraine, they started using fiber optic cables.
One thing I did that was really funny that I don't know if I'm supposed to say but I'll say it anyway. I was in Turkey at the time, and somebody was flying a drone, and I'll keep it very light. Hypothetically speaking, it would have been very easy to have commandeered that drone. I'll just say it like that.
Not your drone anymore.
Yes, hypothetically. And I had to explain to a guy how when they're flying these drones, they're insecure systems. They're easily, taken over. Yeah. Let's read some of your Rumble rants and Super Chats, so smash the like button. Share the show. The uncensored portion is coming up in just a few minutes. But right now, we'll see what y'all have to say about the goings-on of the world and Graham Plattner calling his wiener Mein Führer. Right. Same Old Man says there needs to be more news about Macron letting Paris being set on fire for bringing in third worlders. You know what the issue is? Seriously, this is a big challenge. Like, why do people not really care about politics right now? Last week, we were like, what's the big news? Which we cover. And then I can't remember who it might have been Tate being like, well, the Iran ceasefire, you know, Trump's talking a deal. And I was like, bro, we're on like 15.
Dude.
How many times has there been close to a deal in a yo-yo? No. Even if Trump came out and said we have a deal, I'd be like, nah.
Well, that was what happened to me last week. I did CNN, that Abby Phillips show, and they were like, we're leading with Iran, and we're doing the latest ceasefire negotiation. I think we've got like a new ceasefire negotiation that's been negotiated since that one. And I'm like, okay, so you guys are all going to yell at me, and I'm going to say, we're not going to know what's going to happen until the president comments on this, because he's got to wrangle like 9 different countries and his own negotiators, half of whom don't even agree with him about the war to begin with. And it's like, come on. Like we've seen this movie a million times. People don't want to talk about it endlessly.
It's a yo-yo. I'm just like, dude, I know that if Trump has a ceasefire, it's going to get canceled a day later.
Iran's not. I don't know what's going on in Iran, obviously, but it doesn't seem like there are people in positions of ultimate authority that are interested in a ceasefire. So
I think this stuff probably calms down ahead of the midterms, and then the next 2 years, I just don't think Trump's going to leave the job unfinished. Like, I think he's going to, you know, go there and do everything he wanted to do at the outset of this conflict.
I don't know.
All right, we got Evan Frias says, hey, Tim, I recently started playing MTG. Got me a Final Fantasy Limit Break pre-con deck. Really liking it and the game so far. Would love to play with you guys one day. Any recommendations for add-ons? Go to MTG Top 8, and you can see all of the best decks in existence right now. And you can go to EDH Rec, I think. EDHREC. Just Google search it. And it's great for helping you construct and improve your commander decks. And then go to Mamba Collectibles in Martinsburg, West Virginia, which is our local shop. And when we do play, although we don't play all that often, we play there. But I was talking with some of the local boys about hosting a Saturday game and having we were like, we'll put on UFC. We'll do 5-player or something. Commander's usually like 2v. It's like 4 players, 1v3. And, not 1v3. It's just 4. 1v1v1v1. But certainly we're not going to invite just anybody here. But if you're a regular at Mamba and you see us there, which is above Cast Brew Coffee, which is about to open soon, then maybe you can come to our games. We're also we're trying to set up a show where we do D&D and Magic, and we play these games and we hang out. And it's supposed to be for the boys, having a beer, watching a fight, and goofing off and playing Magic and all that stuff. But it's a great game, although it's gotten really goofy lately because now you can have like Spider-Man fight the Ninja Turtles, I guess, and everyone's kind of rolling their eyes over it. Final Fantasy is cool. We like Final Fantasy and Magic. I do, because Magic is supposed to be fantasy. And I got no problem with them making different games, but trying to cram it all in the same story is just kind of weird, They try
to cram, didn't they do like not Pokemon, but they have like Marvel. Yeah, SpongeBob.
Yeah, SpongeBob.
In Magic, it makes no sense to me.
Yeah,
SpongeBob is in Magic the Gathering?
Indeed it is. Huh. Indeed it is. It's a secret lair. It's a secret lair. There's SpongeBob cards. And there's also, I got Sonic the Hedgehog right there. See all Sonic Hedgehog Magic the Gathering cards.
I just know I just know Settlers of Catan. That's probably way too elementary for you guys.
But we've got Settlers out there somewhere.
That's mine.
We got all the games. We got Carcassonne too.
Online all the time.
We got all the good stuff. But yeah, go to Mamba.
Carcassonne is fun.
Hang out and play Commander. Evan says, "Hey Phil, welcome back. How divine."
Cheers.
Lots of welcome back Phils. Welcome back,
all.
Phil. Welcome back, Phil. Phil, when are you coming to Omaha?
We don't have anything booked right now.
I heard they got good steaks.
Omaha does have good steaks.
Yeah, good stuff.
I like Nebraska.
You guys can do a pie with Warren Buffett.
Yeah, there you go.
Brett Zeppelin says, I heard a theory today that the Dems are deliberately tanking Plattner. Then they have till July 13th to appoint, a.k.a. Kamala, a different candidate. It was his own side that released his sexting info. Indeed it was. Indeed it was. And Mills maybe comes back or something. It's weird what they're doing. It's just weird stuff.
He can write a book after he fails called Mein Kampf.
Keep an eye out. Jared Golden, congressman from Maine, would have been a better pick to begin with. Maybe that'll be someone they try to sneak in there.
This is weird. Desert Army Man says a Democrat named Dan Sullivan filed to run for Senate against incumbent Senator Dan Sullivan in Alaska, coincidentally after Mary Peltola had a campaign stop where he lives.
These people will do anything rather than moderate on policy. They will just nominate a dude with the same exact name as the Republican candidate for Senate.
That's insane, man. Same old man says, Tim, I don't care if Hassan was born to the U.S. He is a commie and has betrayed the USA. He should be thrown into prison for life or exiled from the nation.
Just deport him.
You know, that's what war sounds like.
Just deport him.
Deport him. But where? He was born here.
Turkey. he's got Turkish citizenship, if I understand correctly. He grew up in Turkey.
You know what? Omega Red says Tim Pool. Glock, you may as well give them Bud Light. Because as a CPL instructor, I will tell you that Glock is the Bud Light of guns. Glocks are gay. Chad Springfield.
Phil is not going to be happy with
the
this.
government is not going to give you a Springfield 1911. You're getting bottom of the barrel. That's the point. You're going to get a generic mil-spec AR and a Glock. We're not breaking the bank for you. You're getting a free government gun.
And the test is they give you a SIG 320 and make you drop it over and over.
Look, you can hate on Glocks all you want, but Glocks work.
So does Bud Light, for the record.
I mean, yes, if you want to get drunk.
Yep.
You know, but that was kind of my point. The government is not going to break the bank for you. We're not asking the government to just dish out on the high-end stuff.
It was actually,
it is generic. You are getting the bottom of the barrel, but it's free.
someone wrote an essay in the Atlantic the other day about how good Coors Light is. And it was kind of a beautifully written essay, an ode to Coors Light.
Just in time for Pride Month.
My
right?
tastes are honestly even lower. I like Hams or Natty Light or stuff like that. But
It's really fun
yeah.
going to Chicago with people who've never been there, because we always have to go to Portillo's.
Oh, so good.
But then we went to a Whole Foods, and I can't remember who, I think it might have been Kellen, was just like, what's a good beer to get? And then, like, I think Brandon is going like, oh, you got to get like this micro brew. I'm like, no, stop, old style.
Yeah.
You get a case of old style. Every bar in Chicago's got the old style sign above it. That's what people drink. You know, it's you're chilling and you're cracking a beer from the case. You get old style. That's what people drink.
A lot of Bell's Oberon fans in Chicago too. A lot of Michigan.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one.
That's good. It's Michigan beer.
But then they got their Chicago stuff. They got 312, and you get the Goose Island stuff. Everyone knows Goose Island.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to just have the, like, I don't want to rag on old style because it's old style, but it's not like, you know, your prestigious microbrew or anything like that.
You guys get deep dish pizza when you're in Chicago?
No, that's for tourists. When we bring people to Chicago, we give them Square Cut Tavern.
Oh yeah, tavern
Tavern
style.
pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's funny is, like, I lived in Chicago and I probably had deep dish like 15 times in 20 years.
Tavern
Really?
is
I
the
always
superior
hated deep dish.
pizza.
We'd have pizza once a week, but it would always be Tavern Square Cut.
Tavern is the
With
superior type of
Jardinera.
pizza.
You guys go to Chicago, you find a place that's got tavern style, extra large Jardinera pizza. And right now there are people saying, I don't know what Jardinera is. That's too bad.
It's good. There's a spot in DC actually that puts Jardinera on not Chicago style deep dish, but Detroit style square pizza.
Detroit.
Good combo.
That's
I
a
had
good thing.
pizza in Grand
I'd never heard of
Rapids.
that until I met my wife, that there was actually Detroit style pizza.
You know what's
Actually,
funny?
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I never even really heard. I grew up in Detroit, and I didn't really know a lot about Detroit style pizza. Like, we had square pizza, whatever. But then I moved
kinda
to New York
Sicilian, right?
City, and all of a sudden Detroit style pizza got hot 8 years ago, and it was like the new trendy thing popping up all over the place.
It's like a thicker, fluffy crust, right?
Yeah, like a thicker crust with like a caramel, like a buttered outside. That's
Yeah.
it's good. It's pan pizza. It's good.
It's like a Sicilian, right?
Very similar.
Thick, fluffy. I went to Grand Rapids. I got pizza once. I don't recommend it. I would equate it to white bread with ketchup and American cheese.
Probably a lot of that in Grand Rapids.
I mean, I got to be honest. I love a grilled cheese. Just 2 pieces of white bread, American cheese dipped in ketchup. It's just not pizza.
For the most part, people are like, even bad pizza's good pizza.
We just did 4 shows, like that tour we did 4 shows in Michigan, and pizza in Michigan, we had pizza a couple times for after show. You know, they just bring pizzas in or whatever, and it's not so hot.
Well, that's because you didn't douse it in ranch dressing. That's the proper way to consume pizza.
But
in
I got to
Michigan.
tell you guys, Jardinera, okay? They call it hot peppers at Pot Bellies. If you can find it, you put it on a pizza. We're going to go to the uncensored portion of the show, so smash the like button, share the show with everyone in your life. Make sure you join us at timcast.com if you want to call in and talk to us and our guest, and we'd like you to. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Sir, would you like to shout anything out?
Nothing. I mean, oh yeah, no, I'll shout out the Manhattan Institute. Check out the Manhattan Institute, manhattan.institute. Very easy website to remember. And I'll shout out me. You can follow me at Jesse_leg on Instagram and X.
Guys, if you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram and X at Brett Dastovic on both of those platforms. Make sure you check out PCC. We are live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific. See you there, guys.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. You can check out All That Remains music on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube, Spotify, and Deezer. We will be playing the Warped Tour in D.C. in a couple of weeks. I think it's the 14th. A slew of bands that are
they going to have a mini ramp there?
probably, yeah.
Can you get us passes to the mini ramp?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's go.
Go.
I'm Carter Banks. You can follow me at Carter Banks on X and at Carter Banks Official on Instagram. Follow our label at Trash House Records on YouTube. Got a song coming out on the 19th. I'm going to drop a promo like tomorrow or the next day. But yeah, stay tuned. It's going to be cool.
Don't forget the Left Lanes for Crime.
We'll see you all. Oh, it's been over a month. We haven't
Been a
heard
while.
it.
There were a bunch of people that brought signs.
I saw
in
that video.
the show. Like there at Rockville, someone held up a
amazing.
big sign that said "Left Lane is for Crime." It was great. Thank you guys for showing up to the show.
We'll see you all at rumble.com/Timcast IRL right now. Thanks for hanging out.